Hello everyone, this is Kawainame TV. This video is all about What If Naruto Met Goku Part 2. This story is a fanfiction. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Kindly click the bell button for more updates. Welcome back guys, so this story is just a continuation of the What If Naruto Met Goku. Let's go. Age 761. October 12th. Otherworld. Serpentine Road. Goku and Naruto ran on the Serpentine Road and they were silenced while Naruto was working on his ki, until Naruto was the one to break the silence. Hey, Goku-san. Goku glanced at Naruto while running. Yeah. Is your son really that strong? Asked Naruto. Goku nodded and smiled. Yeah, I have no idea at all that Gohan was as strong as all that. Then he looked at Naruto again. He is my son, after all. All of a sudden, Goku stopped as Naruto thumped on Goku and fell on his butt. Naruto jumped on his feet. Goku-san. Why did you stop? Then he looked at Goku, stared at the road. What's wrong? Goku saw that road was curved, so that made him got an idea and smiled. That's right. We don't have to run along the entire road at all. Ha, then jumped onto another road to other road. All right then. Naruto blinked, and then sighed. I can't jump high like you do. I haven't mastered ki yet. Then he got an idea and smiled. Oh. I know. As he made one hand seal that crossed between his index and middle fingers. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. As he jumped on few Naruto's then landed on another road, he made hand seal again. All right. That's easy. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. And he jumped more Naruto's on their shoulder again to land on other road. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Goku kept jumped onto another road, then jumped. At this rate, we'll get there in no time. Then he got startled because he was about to fall into the yellow cloud. He remembered that beneath the cloud was hell. He used Bukujutsu to get on the road, but unfortunately, he hung his arms on the sharp thing of the road. Ouch! As he puffed on the hand trying to ignore the pain as he fell toward the cloud. Goku-san! Cried Naruto as he made another hand seal, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, as he made 10 clones of him to grab Goku's hand. I will save you, Goku-san, but once again, unfortunately, his stomach was on the sharp of the road. He jumped on the road and rubbed his stomach, ouch! Which dispel all of his clones to lost the grip of Goku's hand. He looked down at Goku. Goku-san! Naruto! Cried Goku. Then Goku saw that the cloud opened as few Shadow Hands was trying to grab him. However, Goku managed to get out of Shadow Hands and went on the road. Naruto ran to Goku, and stared at Goku. Are you okay, Goku-san? Goku got on his butt, and panted, that was close, that was close. That's hell there beneath the clouds. Then he looked at the curved road. Yeah, jumping is dangerous. I guess we have to run along the entire road, right? Said Naruto as he stared at the curved road. Yeah. Later Naruto was working on his ki while running with Goku, and growled, I'm hungry already. Damn, that guy lied to us, sighed Goku. He said we wouldn't get hungry, but here I am, hungry. Me, too. Damn that guy, agreed Naruto. Age 761, October 13th. Came house, Earth, what? You couldn't tell them, shocked Bulma. Kuririn went to Chi-Chi's house and tried to tell them that Goku died and Gohan won't be come back because of Piccolo, but he was afraid so he had to escape from her last night. I'm very sorry, frowned Kuririn. Don't tell me you didn't say anything, sighed Bulma. No, what's the use? Geez, you're so spineless. That's easy for you to say, sighed Kuririn, but if any normal person saw Chi-Chi-san's face, they'd be unable to tell her. Oh, so you're saying that I'm no normal person? Growled Bulma. Kuririn waved her off. That's not what I meant. Roshi sighed. Well, I suppose it's no surprise. Bulma looked at him, but we can't just keep quiet like this. If we wrote her a letter explaining what happened, perhaps she would understand. Said Roshi. Kuririn smiled. All right. That will work. By the way, Kuririn, what about the Dragon Balls? Asked Bulma. She pointed up the index finger. There were 2 of them at Sun-kun's house, right? Kuririn widened his eyes. I forgot. You're good for nothing, scowled Bulma. I'm sorry, said Kuririn, then realized and looked around him and stared at Roshi. By the way, where's Sasuke and Sakura? Roshi pointed at the window and replied, they are under the water to find the rock I threw. Kuririn smiled because he remembered he had similar training that those 2 have right now. So, if one of them failed to find rock will not eat for breakfast, or if they failed to find rock before the time up, then they won't eat for breakfast, right? Asked Kuririn. Roshi nodded. That's right. Underwater Sasuke scanned the water around him and thought, damn it. He told me to not use Sharingan. I need to find the rock before the time ran out. I hope Sakura won't find it before me. Suddenly, he felt the gasped in air, damn. I can't breathe, and he went for air above the water. Damn, he had to throw under the water knowing that we couldn't breathe in the water. Then he went under the water to look for the rock again. Sakura scanned the water around him, then saw the familiar rock that has drawn on it, and thought, I think that's one. I think that's the rock Roshi-sama drew. And she picked the rock up and smiled, yup. That's exactly what I was looking for. Sakura got out of water and ran to get in the house, gave the rock to Roshi and cried, I found it. Few minutes later, Sasuke had been looking for the rock for a while, didn't know that Sakura already found it, and then he couldn't hold breathe and had to get out of water. He saw Sakura staring at him with a smile on her face. What? Sakura hopped around and smiled, I found the rock, Sasuke. I won. Sasuke growled while in thought, damn her. Came House Bulma fixed the scouter that Raditz wore back in the battlefield, and put it on her left eye, and mumbled, I wonder if this is it. Quote. Then she saw the yellow coat appeared on her scouter as she smiled. She got off the chair and she turned around, hey there, it's finally finished. Then she saw that Roshi was napping on the couch, Kuririn put his head on the table sleeping, and the turtle was sleeping. She shot the machine gun at Kuririn and Roshi to wake up, how nice of you guys to be napping around at a time like this. Hey, what's going on? Said the voice. Bulma looked at the girl with pink hair, which was Sakura. I heard gunshot. She stood next to Sasuke. Of course, Sasuke had his usually scowl on his face while his hand was in his pocket. HMPH. Oh, it's you guys. Smiled Bulma. Okay, now come here. I want to show you guys something. Then she looked at Roshi and smiled. Now then, you there, Grandpa Turtle, stand on up. As she gestured Roshi to come with his index finger. Roshi stood up and confused, gee Grandpa Turtle. As Bulma pushed the button on her scouter, and smirked, I changed the display numbers to make it easier to understand. Let's see, 139, 139. I'm not as young as that, sighed Roshi as he pointed his index finger at himself. This is the number that represents your strength, Mutant Roshi-sama. Explained Bulma. Roshi raised his eyebrows, the number that represents my strength. Whoa, that's an incredible device. It can even tell that. Then she looked at Sasuke, and pushed the button on her scouter again, oh. It says 50. Sasuke growled while got in thought, what? I am weaker than that old man. I wonder what Naruto had it in. She looked at Sakura and pushed the button on her scouter again, well, it says 8. Sakura felt as hurt as she looked down at the floor, really? I am weak. I guess Naruto is strong as well. Kurin got excited and got on the couch as he pointed at himself, be Bulma-san, what would my number be? Bulma pushed the button again to detect Kuririn's strength, and amazing. It says 206. Kuririn smiled and looked at Roshi, Mutant Roshi-sama, I really have surpassed you, huh? Roshi took a step forward and asked, hey, are you sure it's not malfunctioning? Malfunctioning? Wondered Kuririn. That could not be, chuckled Bulma. She pushed the button on her scouter to see what the strength the turtle had it in. Just 0.0001, as the turtle was let down. It's not malfunctioning, all right. Kuririn jumped to the floor from the couch and hopped, yahoo. Is that right? Wondered Roshi. Bulma chuckled, I don't mean to brag, but when it comes to my skills, the voice said coming from outside of door, hey. Hey, who's that? Wondered Sakura. Who could it be this early? Wondered Kuririn. The voice cried, hey, I say, hey. Kuririn opened the door, who's out here calling to us so unusually? The fat swordsman guy said, it's me. Kuririn stared at the fat guy for a while, and then realized, why you're that guy who was at Karen-sama's place, as I recall Armadillo. That's Yajirobe, ya dumb bastard, scowled the fat guy. I'll just betcha ya got my name wrong on purpose. Then he sighed, what are you doing building a house way out here? Makes it a real hassle to find. While Roshi, Sakura, Sasuke, Bulma and Kuririn staring at him. I came here at Karen's askin' to give ya a message. A message from Karen-sama, wondered Kuririn. Yajirobe scratched his cheek with his hand, and chuckled, I know the whole situation, he says. Then looked at Kuririn side, so you, along with that Yamcha guy, and the 10 whatever guy and Chaozu are to come immediately. Kuririn confused, everyone is to go to Karen to tower. What for? Wondered Roshi. Kami-sama, see, is going give us trainin', he says. Sighed Yajirobe while he folded his arms, Sasuke and Sakura will go here on next 6 months, he says. I'm in there with ya too. What? Confused Sakura and Sasuke. Are really? Asked Kuririn. Yajirobe nodded, yeah, for my part, I told him that I don't wanna fight no whatever their faces aliens, but they says I gotta do it no matter what. I've had it with him. He's a coward. I will show you who's the real coward is when you come back alive, Naruto, thought Sasuke. He's just like Choji. I wonder if he loves to eat chip as well, thought Sakura. Kuririn nodded. You understood. I'll go find everyone and head there right away. Yajirobe turned his back on them while glanced over their shoulder. Catch ya later. I told ya everything, that's for sure. Then he went to the car but stopped and looked back at them. Oh yeah, right, I forgot. As he turned around at them, Goku says not to bring Naruto and him back to life, for those enemies come. Why not? Asked Bulma. He says they're gonna train in the other world. Replied Yajirobe before getting in the car. If y'all wanna know details, some old hag named Uranai Baba's supposed to be along pretty soon. Ask her. Then he left the island. What? When? Wondered Roshi. T training in the other world, shocked Kuririn. B but why is Naruto training in the other world, wondered Sakura. Roshi sighed. Oh of all things. Kuririn noticed the car was on way to the island, huh? He turned around again. It's a different kind of plane. Said Bulma. Hey, that's not him. That's Goku's wife, warned Sasuke. Gyumao sat behind Chi-Chi and waved at them with a smile on his face. Ahoy. Muten Roshi-sama. It's Chi-Chi and Gyumao. Shocked Roshi while everyone was in trembled. Bulma looked at Roshi and asked, Muten Roshi-sama, what do we do? I still haven't written their letter, gulped Roshi. Chi-Chi and Gyumao got off of the car then Ox King got on his knees bowed before Roshi. Muten Roshi-sama, it's been a terribly long time. Have you been well? I supposed so. Sighed Roshi while he hung his arms behind his back. Bulma, Kuririn, and Sakura trembled. Why yikes. Chi-Chi titled his head to look for Gohan and Goku. My Goku-san and Gohan are supposed to be here. Then she walked toward them while put her hands on her hip. Where are they? Are they inside the house? The fact of the matter is, hesitated Roshi. Sasuke interrupted. Gohan was taken away by Piccolo. Chi-Chi shocked. He was taken away by Daimao Piccolo. What happened to Goku? Wondered Gyumao. Sasuke sighed. He died, which caused Chi-Chi fainted. Gyumao panicked. Chi-Chi. Steady. Age 761. October 15th. 2:04 a.m. Break Wasteland Gohan had been stuck on top of a rock island because he was running away from T-Rex as it was trying to eat him. Right now, Gohan was sleeping on top of rock. Piccolo was floating himself while closed his eyes with his arms and legs were uncrossed. Gohan woke up, and had to take a piss over the cliff. Piccolo opened his eyes and staring at Gohan, urinating, huh? Gohan sniffed as he pulled his pants back on. Why is this happening to me? Then he noticed his shadow was on the ground. Why is it this bright out? Wondered Gohan as he looked around him, but then he finally looked at the sky. There was very large moon called full moon. It's the moon, as the tail wiggled. His smiles were getting bigger, and bigger. Wow, it's completely round. This is the first time I've ever seen a full moon. Suddenly, he stopped mumbling to himself while staring at full moon which stopped his heart for a while. He was staring at full moon for so long until his eyes become pink, and his heart were beating faster and faster. What is it? Wondered Piccolo. Gohan's tail were wiggled faster and faster then suddenly stopped and every time his heart were beating faster and faster while staring at full moon until he become angry suddenly. His teeth were now become sharp. His body becomes large as the clothes were ripped, and fur of monkey grew on him. The more he become large, the large roared he get. His eyes became blank red as he grew larger and larger. A great ape. What? Shocked Piccolo. Once Gohan become great ape, the tall rock was destroyed as he landed on the surface as the ground shook. I am possible. Shocked Piccolo. The great ape smashed the large boulder coming from his left fist, as the rock crumbled and fell on the ground. He blasted the beam through the rocks to another rocks from his mouth. Boom. Piccolo had to shield his eyes because of that explode cause the bright light goes to him. Boom, boom, boom. The great ape kept blasted from his mouth to destroy every rock. He was out of control. Piccolo dodged the other beam that was coming to him but it destroyed the rock. Boom. Piccolo put his hand in front of his face to guard, and trembled. What's going on? He's got extraordinary destructive power. Boom. The great ape pumped on his own chest with his fists. He shot another beam from his mouth and shot another beam to the different direction. Boom. Boom. Piccolo stared at the great ape and mumbled to himself, at this rate, Earth will be annihilated before the Saiyans even get here, as the great ape kept shot the beam from his mouth. As the great ape shot the beam at Piccolo, but it missed. Piccolo dodged the beam and stared at the great ape and trembled. How can this be? Then realized and he looked around at the full moon. That's it, realized Piccolo. It's the full moon. The Piccolo gathered the key inside his hand as the fist clenched. Get lost, and he shot the beam at the full moon. The moment it hit the moon, it. Boom. Piccolo had to close his eyes to prevent him goes to blind while his arm was still lift up. The moment the full moon was destroyed, the great ape shrunk back to the normal. He went back to Gohan again. Gohan collapsed on the ground naked. Piccolo landed and tried to get some oxygen in him as the sweat went on his face. He walked toward Gohan, and stared down at him. He growled, to think that he could transform. It must be his Saiyan blood. I get the feeling that I've discovered the secret to him and Son Goku's strength. Then he looked at the sky. Looks like blowing the moon away was the right thing to do. And he looked around him. There was most rock that was destroyed by the great ape. I shudder to think of those Saiyan guys turning into monsters like that. He then looked down at Gohan, and mumbled. He said something or other about their tails, but it appears that both the tails and a full moon are required to transform. Maybe I'll pull out his tail, too. There's no need to worry about him transforming like this, but Saiyan tails seem to be their weak spots. Then he pulled the tail out of Gohan's butt. He chuckled. All right, then. I think I'll provide him clothes and a sword at no charge. I'll let you have the same design as your father's. Then he shot the beam from his fingertips at Gohan. Suddenly, the clothes appeared on Gohan that had exactly designed as his father, and the sword appeared next to him. He chuckled, although the character may be a little different. I have to go do my own training. I'm leaving now. If you can survive here without anything happening to you for 6 months, I, Piccolo-sama, will personally put you through some hellish training. Then he clenched his fist, so much so that you'll come to believe you'd be better off dying. Brace yourself. I'll also turn you into an outstanding demon clansman. Then he flew away and left Gohan to sleep. Otherworld check in station. Enma read through the book. Let's see. Then he saw the name while mumbling, ah. I found it. Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, wasn't it? Then he opened the drawer, and grabbed the kunai. Kunai was different from a standard kunai in that they had 3 blades instead of 1 and on the handle, which is thicker than normal. Horatian kunai, huh? He said if I throw this kunai at the floor, then he would appear. Here I go. Then he threw the kunai at the floor. Suddenly someone showed up the moment the kunai hit on the floor. What's up, Lord Enma-sama? Greeted Minato. Minato was a fairly tall, fair-skinned man. He had bright blue eyes and spiky blonde hair. He had jaw-length bangs framing either side of his face while the halo hovered above his head. He wore a short-sleeved long white coat over his normal attire, decorated by flame-like motifs on the edges, with the kanji for Yondaime Hokage written vertically down the back, and closed on the front by a thin orange rope. Hey, greeted Enma, the reason why I called you out because Naruto wanted to see you and Kushina. Minato's eyes widened. What? Naruto died. What happened to him? Enma sighed. Apparently, he went into different dimension and died there. Anyways, he will be there to see Kaio-sama. He wanted to talk to you and Kushina. Minato nodded. Thank you, Lord Enma. Then got in thought. Naruto, how did you die? I didn't expect you to die so soon. Oh, well, I guess I will ask him then. As he vanished in flash of yellow. Age 761, November 24 came house. Mutant Roshi was staring across the ocean, and sighed, I wonder if Goku and Naruto have arrived at Kaio-sama's place and are getting their training yet. Uranai Baba-sama told us that even once we gather the Dragon Balls, not to bring them back to life for a year. And 1 year is right about the time when those Saiyan guys are supposed to arrive here on Earth. The turtle stared at Roshi, and said, I wonder if they'll be able to defend the Earth against the Saiyans. Mutant Roshi-sensei, said the voice. Roshi looked behind him, and that was Sakura. What is it, Sakura? And turned his body to Sakura. We've rested long enough. What is our next training, sensei? Asked Sakura. Where is Sasuke? Asked Roshi. Sakura sighed. Sasuke is training right now. He said he is going to improve his fire breath or something. Suddenly, Roshi stared at Sakura's chest, and chuckled, that's good. He walked towards Sakura. Your training is. Sakura felt so awkward because Roshi was too close to her. What is it, sensei? The old man pervert laughed like a crazy, and gestured, allow me to touch your small boobs, and he was about to touch Sakura, but instead he was getting beat up by Sakura. Ouch. That's hurt, ya know. He rubbed his head trying to not feel the pain. What do you think you're doing? You pervert, growled Sakura. Sakura looked like she was pissed off. Alright. Get with it. What is our next training? Yeah, I've waited long enough. What's our next training? Said the voice. Roshi looked behind Sakura and that was Sasuke. He got up and sighed. Alright. Your next training is swimming. What? Your training is pathetic. Finding the rock, delivery milks, digging the farm, and now swimming, growled Sasuke. I don't need you anymore. I'm taking this pathetic turtle shell of yours off. He took the shell off and he glared at Roshi. Now let me fight you. Hey, Sasuke, what are you doing? Asked Sakura. Sasuke glared at Sakura. Shut up. Can't you see, Sakura? He's just wasting our time. All those pathetic training we've been through are all worthless. It is not going to help us anything. So get out of my way. He went to Roshi at the higher speed, and punched Roshi, but got blocked by Roshi's left arms. They created the huge shockwave as the ocean wave went higher and higher while the island quaked. So fast. Shocked Sakura after witnessed the scene. Sasuke was in deeply shocked. What the? Roshi chuckled. Now do you understand? All those training you've been through didn't go waste. That's why I'm training you to be stronger and stronger so you can take to the next level. You will be stronger when you get to train with Kuririn and others. You will be even stronger when the Saiyans get here on the earth. Incredible. Roshi's training is an incredible, thought Sasuke. Wow, I was wrong about Mutant Roshi sensei. He's an awesome sensei, thought Sakura. Do you understand? Asked Roshi. He saw Sasuke and Sakura nodded, then he smiled. Sasuke, now get your shell back then swim. Both of you. Sasuke and Sakura did do as they were told so to do. They went into the ocean and swim. Roshi chuckled. Be careful, if I were you, I would swim faster. Sasuke and Sakura was wondering what Roshi talked about until they saw the shark chase them, then they were freak out and swim away from them fast as much as they could. That's right. Swim faster. Faster. Cried Roshi. Age 761. November 27th. Otherworld. Serpentine Road. Goku and Naruto were running along the road until they saw the yellow truck, so they decided to ask the ogre driver. Hey there. What are you doing, Pops? Asked Goku, who was on right of yellow truck. What am I doing, Oni? Replied the ogre. Yeah, what are you doing? Asked Naruto, who was on the left of yellow truck. The ogre stared at Naruto, and answered, I was asked by Great Lord Enma-sama to clean this road, Oni. We're going to Kaio-sama's place, said the proud Saiyan. Oni, you're going to Kaio-sama's place? Shocked the ogre. I've never seen a daredevil dead persons as big as you, Oni. Is there still a long way to go? Asked Naruto. Of course there is. From what I've heard, the ogre finally returned his glance at the road and continued, you're still only about halfway to the halfway point, Oni. Still only halfway to halfway, shocked Goku. It's pretty long then, huh, sighed Naruto. Oni, confused the ogre. The ogre poked his head out of the truck and stared at exhausted Goku and Naruto. Hey, what's the matter, Oni? I need a little break, said Goku. Me, too, agreed Naruto. Oni, if you want me to take you part of the way, I can give you a ride, Oni. Get on back of here, Oni. Really? Yahoo! Excited Goku. Sweet. We will be there in no time, smiled Naruto. Goku and he got on back of the truck. Ready, Pops, said Goku. The ogre nodded. All right, here we go, Oni. Later Naruto and Goku fall asleep while the ogre was driving along the road. Goku mumbled to himself while sleeping, Kaio-sama, I'm Son Goku. Suddenly, the ogre driver accident bumped the sharp thingy, and Goku fell to the cloud where the hell beneath the cloud except for Naruto because Naruto used the chakra to control himself so he won't fell. However, Goku didn't realize that he was falling, but he still talked to himself. Yao, Kaio-sama, your training is as tough as I expected, the moment he hit on the ground, and he woke up. Yao. Then he looked around him and he saw the dead tree and fog around him. Where is this place? I wonder if we've arrived at Kaio-sama's place without even realizing it. Then he looked around him again, realizing there's no Naruto. Naruto, where are you? Kakarot, I found you, at last, said the voice. Goku heard the familiar voice, so he decided to turn his head to check who called his Saiyan name. It was Raditz. Raditz, shocked Goku. I thought you're in hell. Raditz growled, you bastard. You killed me. Damn you. Then suddenly, Raditz charged at Goku and tried to hit Goku everything he could do, but Goku actually blocked every single punch and kick. How could you kill your own only brother? Goku blocked every punch and kick. The moment he grabbed Raditz's punch, then he punched Raditz's face. Hey, I'm not your brother, damn it. Only if you didn't hit your head, we wouldn't die right now. Grumbled Raditz. That's good thing I didn't hit my head. Anyways, I don't have time to deal with you right now. I have to see Kaio-sama soon, said Goku as he left Raditz. You're not getting away, Kakarot, cried Raditz. He showed up in front of Goku and knocked him away from him. He landed and folded his arms. Now you couldn't stand a chance against me alone. Green-skinned bastard is not here after all, chuckled Raditz. Goku got up and wiped the blood on his mouth. Damn it, you haven't learned a lesson at all, have you? Then he got in thought. Damn it, I guess I got no choice but to fight him. Now it's time to obliterate you, cried Raditz. He gathered whole ki inside Raditz, then released the full blast called Saturday Crush at Goku. Goku crossed his arms because he thought the blast would hit him head on until he heard the voice. Enough, Raditz. Goku also saw that another blast pushed Raditz' blast away from Goku. Then Goku looked on his left and he saw the man that resembles Goku. Father, shocked Raditz. Goku got shocked and thought, what? He's the father? Then he looked at the guy very closely. It's true. He's really look like me. Then he decided to ask, hey, you. Who are you? Bardock. Then the guy looked at Goku and realized, Kakarot. How did you die? It can't be. Bardock's appearance was very similar to Goku's. He has unkempt hair which partially stands on end and a scar on his left cheek. He wore black and green battle armor. He wore red headband around his head. Father, why did you stop me? He's traitor. He killed me, growled Raditz. Bardock stared at Raditz and narrowed his eyes. Be quiet. Then he stared at Goku again, tell me. How did you die, Kakarot? So you're really my father. Sighed Goku. Raditz and I died together because he threatened to kill my son, so I got no choice but to fight him. What? So you didn't fight Frieza, didn't you? Shocked Bardock. Who? Confused Goku. Damn it. Growled Bardock, then he glared at Raditz. It's your fault. Only if you didn't stupid do something, then he would have defeat Frieza. I can be brought back to life in a year, said Goku. What? Shocked Bardock. Goku nodded. You can, if you gather all of 7 Dragon Balls, then the Dragon Shenlong will come out of Dragon Balls and grant you any wish. So the legends of Dragon Balls are true then, shocked Bardock. Yeah, but I want to ask you a lot of question I need to know. Since you're really my father, sighed Goku, why did you send me to Earth to kill all existence living things? Why, Kakarot, you don't remember your mission? Asked Bardock. Goku was going to answer but Raditz answered for him. He hit his head harder. That's why he forgot everything. His name changed to Son Goku or whatever. Bardock walked toward the pool of blood and stared at it. He sighed, alright, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. I will tell you about our planet Vegeta, include the tyrant named Frieza. Goku nodded and smiled. Okay, you need to hurry so I can meet Kaio-sama to train before 2 Saiyans arrive on Earth in a year. Age 761, November 27th. Otherworld, Serpentine Road. On the way to see Kaio-sama, Naruto woke up while he was on the back of yellow car. He yawned, that was great nap. A few seconds later, he finally fully opened his eyes, and saw no sign of Goku. Goku-san. Where's Goku-san? The ogre driver sighed, Goku is in hell Oni. Naruto widened his eyes and stared at the ogre, what? He fell. It was my fault Oni, replied ogre. Naruto jumped off the truck and went to look down at the clouds. Damn it, that dumbass. That Enma guy told him to be careful not to fall, or he will never be able to come back. Then he put his hand on his chin, I think I should get hurry to see Kaio-sama. The fate of Earth rests on my shoulder right now. Then he looked at the ogre driver, and asked, hey. How long left until the halfway point? You're already on halfway point, Oni, replied the ogre. Really? Already? Shocked Naruto. The ogre driver looked at the castle and nodded, yes, you will recognize this castle right away when you're on halfway to Kaio-sama, Oni. Datboya. Thank you. See you later, exclaimed Naruto. In blink of an eye, Naruto was already gone. Oni, shocked the ogre, he's fast. Hell. Bardock stared down at Pool, and sighed, about 20 years ago during your birth, we were sent to annihilate planet Kanasa under the order of Frieza because they possess something unusual powers that can see the future. Flashback began age 737 planet Vegeta. After Great Ape became rampage on planet Kanasa and wiped nearly all Kanasan, the Saiyans took a break. They had a little chat about Bardock's son, and about Frieza why he wanted them to kill all Kanasan, until last survivor Kanasan disturbed the Saiyans' celebration. Kanasan only proceed to give Bardock a psychic ability such as read minds and see into the future. He spoke through Bardock's mind and he told him that Bardock will be able to see his end. He laughed until Bardock ended his life. Bardock was knocked out due to Kanasan's previous attack. So he was sent to planet Vegeta to be healed. When he was in medical machine, he saw the future where the planet was being destroyed. He also saw Spacepod was sent to Earth. He implied that was his son. He was named Goku by Grandpa Gohan. Grandpa Gohan tried to raise him in right away, however Goku, or Kakarot, was too violent. He saw that his son met with Bulma. His son carried the box of milk along with Kuririn and Mutant Roshi. He also defeated King Piccolo. He also trained with Mr. Popo in order to defeat Piccolo Jr. Later, he defeated Piccolo Jr. Bardock also saw the another vision that Goku would met Naruto and shook their hand each other. Finally he woke up as the water swallowed down. Bardock got the battle armors on, and get ready for the battle. He asked the guy where's Tora, and he was told that they were ordered to go to Planet Meat. So he decided to depart to Planet Meat, but before he could leave the building, He heard the baby crying, so he decided to see his own son before he left. Bardock kept hearing in his head said, he foresaw destruction of planet Vegeta once again. He was disappointed in Goku had only battle power of mere 5. He left the planet Vegeta so he could meet with his comrades on planet Meat. When Bardock arrived the location of his comrades, and he was in shock to see that his comrades died. He saw that Tora was still barely alive, so he asked him what happened. Tora told him that he was attacked by Frieza henchmen. It was just a setup. Bardock was told that Frieza was afraid that he might be able to defeat him because he was getting too strong. Before Tora's death, he told Bardock good luck. He picked the armband and soaked the blood from its band and used it as headbands. Then, he saw a bunch of Frieza's henchmen laughed upon his comrade's death. They proceed to mock how weakling his comrades really are. Bardock proceed to beat all of Frieza's henchmen. But he foresaw another future. Goku used Kaioken, and he also foresaw that Goku fought with Vegeta. He was getting beat up by the guy with horn for few seconds. Luckily, he managed to defeat Frieza's henchmen. He also met with one of Frieza's elite henchmen, Dodoria. Dodoria opened his mouth to blast the key cannon from his mouth on Bardock. He thought that finished Bardock off. However, Bardock was lucky to survive the blast from Dodoria somehow. He went to his spacepod and went to planet Vegeta. Before reaching the planet Vegeta, he saw Frieza's spaceship, as well as his son's spacepod departed from planet Vegeta. When he saw his son inside the spacepod, he could swear that was deja vu. When Bardock arrived on planet Vegeta, he rushed to tell all Saiyans that planet Vegeta would be destroyed because he foresaw Frieza destroying planet Vegeta. However, not even single Saiyan believed in Bardock because they thought there's no way that Frieza would betray Saiyans. They laughed at him. He couldn't believe that none of Saiyan would believe in him. He decided to face Frieza alone himself. Once he got out of the building, he was on somehow different planet. The ground was green, sky was green, and even the ocean was green. He also saw Goku stood in front of his eyes. He could feel the destruction of the planet. He was so anxious and was in deeply trembled because he knew that Frieza would destroy planet Vegeta. He saw Frieza's spaceship, so he flew towards spaceship. He went out of planet Vegeta and went into outer space. But he saw a bunch of henchmen came out of Frieza's spaceship. The henchman fired a blast on Bardock, but he dodged an elbow smashed against the masked henchman. Come on, you cowards, cried Bardock. Then he tried to get through the enemy, but he dodged the strike from the enemy, then roundhouse kicked the enemy, and dodged the enemy's blast. He proceeded to kill the enemy with his full power energy wave. He went straight to the spaceship, but he was grabbed by one of the enemy, and full of enemies was on Bardock. He succeeded to get free of Frieza's henchmen by releasing his ki, however 2 remaining enemies still held Bardock. One of henchmen strangled his neck while other one was on Bardock's leg. Bardock cried, "You coward, come out." Frieza did do as he was told, so he came out of the spaceship. Frieza's henchmen shocked, "Frieza-sama. We salute you, Frieza-sama. Yeah, long live Frieza-sama." Bardock laughed. Now, everything changes. Planet Vegeta's fate, Kakaro's fate, and, even your fate, as he puts his hand forward and charges a blue energy sphere. Then he shouted, "This is where it ends," as he drew his arm back, and then he brought his hand forward and fired the attack at Frieza. However, Frieza created a spark of ki lights on the index finger, and once enough energy is gathered, this spark may grow to the size of a small moon. It absorbed the blue energy sphere. Bardock shocked. What? Frieza just simply launched his supernova toward Bardock, and hit him. Bardock also foresaw that his son Goku, would challenge Frieza on other planet one day. Before his death, he smiled, Kakarot. As soon as the supernova hit planet Vegeta, it blew up, which leave the no trace of remaining fragment of planet Vegeta. Boom. Planet Vegeta was gone, as well as Saiyans. Frieza laughed upon the death of planet Vegeta as well as Saiyans. Even he killed his own henchman. Flashback ended. Bardock growled, "We were wiped by Frieza," because he feared that we, Saiyans, might be able to surpass Frieza. Then he finally turned his body and stared at Goku. Kakarot, Raditz probably told you the reason why you were sent to Earth. Let me tell you again, you were sent to destroy the Earth. That was your mission. I knew you wouldn't kill single Earthling. HMPH, you knew it, asked Raditz while folding his arms. However, Bardock ignored Raditz, and continued, Kakarot, my son. Carry out my will. You will avenge the Saiyans and your planet Vegeta. Defeat Frieza, demanded Bardock. So, this is Hell? Asked Goku. Yeah, this is the 3rd street of 1st district of Hell. Goku rubbed his head and sighed, damn it. I guess I am stuck here. I've fallen down from the Serpentine Road. Now I can't return. Bardock chuckled. Did you honestly think I died and was sent to hell because I killed bunch of innocent You're wrong. Huh, what do you mean? I was originally sent to see Kaio-sama because I tried to save planet Vegeta. They forgive my sin. However, I declined his offer, because I was not comfortable without seeing my old friends. So he decided to offer me a Hell Guardian. I accepted. Then he smiled at Goku. Kakarot, I know a way to get you out of hell. Suddenly, Goku got too close to Bardock's face. Really? Bardock nodded. Goku hopped and excited. Yahoo, now I can see Naruto and Kaio-sama. Follow me, Kakarot, said Bardock. Then he looked at Raditz. Stay there, Raditz. Raditz sighed. Yeah, whatever, father. Then he looked at Goku. Kakarot. Goku glanced over his shoulder at Raditz. Raditz sighed. I hate to give you an advice. But, you're my brother. For your sake, be careful with Vegeta, when you get there. He's too strong even for you. Watch out for his Gaelic hoe. Before Goku left, he waved and smiled. Thank you, bro. Raditz's reaction to Goku calling him brother was in shocked. Did he call me brother? Anyways, Bardock guided Goku somewhere there. Bardock pointed over yonder. If you climb the stairs inside there, you'll return to the Serpentine Road, Kakarot. Goku was really happy that he could go back to Otherworld again. Sweet. Yahoo! I can see Kaio-sama and Naruto again. Thank you, Papa. Then he rushed to the exit. But Bardock stopped him. Wait. Bardock walked to the tree and grabbed the golden fruit, then handed it to Goku. What is it? This fruit looks delicious. Am I going to eat it? Asked Goku. Bardock chuckled. That's right. It's the fruit of the Enseiju, the tree of circular life. Normally, those are precious fruit that only the great Lord Enma-sama may eat. But, for you, you're my son. If you eat one of those precious fruits, they say that you will avoid hunger for 100 days, and your power will be bolstered. Take it. Please don't tell Enma-sama, otherwise he wouldn't let me stay hell. Goku ate the fruits. Thank you, Papa, and ran toward the exit. See you. Bardock got in thought and smiled. He might be able to defeat Frieza for sure. But suddenly, he saw the future that the Goku's hair turned into golden and glared at Frieza. He groaned. What is this? His hair, then realized, that's Super Saiyan. What's going on? With Goku climbed up the stair in the darkness around him. He whined, these stairs sure are long. Then he saw the golden light appeared. Is that the exit? He had a hard time to push the door, and thought, it won't move. Alright, then he pushed the door with his legs. It finally opened, and sunlight went upon Goku's eyes. I made it. When he opened the door, he saw Lord Enma stared at him. Enma asked, what are you doing in there? In which the door was, apparently, Enma's drawer. Goku shocked. Gee, great Lord Enma-sama. Did you see Kaio-sama? Wondered Enma. Goku shook his head, and rubbed his head sheepishly. By any chance, is this? Goodbye. Then he jumped off the drawer. Enma watched Goku left the station, and wondered, what's with him? Otherworld Serpentine Road with Goku. Goku ran along the road and panicked. What's this? I have to start at the beginning again. Naruto's probably already there. Damn it. You've got to be kidding. Then he speed up on the way. I really have to hurry now, or I ain't going to have enough time. He already passed the Serpentine Road, and confused, that's strange. It's a lot easier to run now than before. I wonder if that's because of that fruit. The ogre driver saw Goku ran along the road, and wondered, Oni. Something's coming, Oni. But then he saw Goku ran toward him, and he waved trying to stop him. Watch out, Oni. Stop, Oni. Then, Goku jumped over the truck. The ogre looked behind the truck, and mumbled, I thought he had fallen off the Serpentine Road earlier, Oni. Be that as it may, it looks like he's a lot faster this time, Oni. When his eyes went back to the road, the truck went over the edge, and fell. He screamed, Triple A Oni. Goku ran faster along the road and smiled, Dad is right. I've already come this far in a flash. I hope I could catch up to Naruto before he makes it. Age 762. January 15th. With Naruto. With Goku gone, Naruto was able to master the ki every time he took a break from the long run. Long enough for him to be able to master the Bukujutsu technique. He did make an attempt to fly through the road, but his ki ran out later. He had to ran all the way again. Nevertheless, he ran along the road until he ran out of his energy. He went on his knees, and panted while staring at the road. Damn it, just how long left for me to run? He looked up and realized there's no more rest of the road there. He shocked. A tail. This is the end of Serpentine Road. Then he looked around him. Where's Kaio-sama? I don't see him somewhere. Did I really miss it? Then he looked up, and he saw the small green planet. Ah, that must be Kaio-sama's planet. Alright. He jumped very higher, and stared at small planet. Wow. That's nice planet. Suddenly, something pulled him to the planet. What? He went to crash into the grass, then struggled to get up. Damn it, what's with this gravity? Damn it, this planet is only small, even though I couldn't get up. He finally managed to get up, but he had a hard time to walk. It was almost as if it's his first time to walk. What's with this gravity? Then he saw the house. Damn, I don't have time for this crap. I need to talk to Kaio-sama quickly. Hey, asked the voice. He looked up and stared at blue-paled guy. Who are you? The blue-paled guy chuckled. Me. I am. Then he scratched his back. Scratch, scratch, scratch. There's a mosquito, a mosquito. Suddenly, he smiled sound like he began to laugh. Mosquito, and folded his arms. Kaio. Naruto face faulted. Are you really Kaio-sama? Hey, your face is blue. Are you sick? Kaio yelled. I'm not sick. That was my natural birth. Naruto jumped back and completely forget about the gravity. Sorry. I really am, chuckled Naruto nervously. Kaio smiled. By the way, don't you think that play on words just now was the greatest? You don't have to be afraid to laugh at it. At what? What are you talking about, Kaio-sama? You were too tense to hear it. Ha, sighed Kaio. Then he shook his head and shrugged. What am I going to do with you, for pity's sake? Well then, at no extra charge, I'll hit you with a different play on words. What the hell is he talking about? Wondered Naruto. Suddenly, Kaio acted like he picked the phone even though there was no phone. He made a sound like the phone rang. He put it on his ear. Hello. Hello. Ha. I picked up the phone, but no one was home. Then he laughed so hard. That's great. Naruto sighed. Hey, I don't think that's funny. Again, you were not supposed to say what you're doing anyways. Suddenly, Kaio stopped laugh, and said in calmly tone, what did you come here for? Ah, that's right. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I came all the way to here so I could have you train me, Kaio-sama, replied Naruto. Kaio frowned. Train you. Go home now. Anyone who hears a joke like that and doesn't laugh has a flawed character. You expect me to train anyone like that? Then he turned his back on Naruto. Suddenly, Naruto rolled on the floor laughed. I should have seen that coming. That was funny. I should have known better, Kaio-sama. I didn't ever heard anything so funny. Kaio felt so proud that he did accomplish something, and turned his body forward at Naruto. He smiled. It wasn't it? And he shook his index finger. You were just slow to notice it, that's all. Naruto finally get up, and stared at Kaio. You're right. Anyways, are you going to train me? Kaio chuckled. Train you? Huh. I wouldn't mind doing that. Awesome. Excited Naruto. Provided that, you can pass my test. You have to make me, Kaio-sama, the mastermind of gags, laugh at one of your plays on words. Naruto shocked. Are you kidding me right? Kaio chuckled. Are you getting cold feet? If the pun is not at an adequate enough level, I won't laugh at it. He could tell that Naruto made a scowl face. Well, how about it? Naruto thought. Damn, I need to pass his test somehow so I can have him train me. I may be great at prank, but I'm never good at making pun. Kaio chuckled. Apparently, you're not up to it. If that's so, then give up, and go home. Someone painted the monuments, asked Naruto loudly. Then he got in thought. Damn, it was futile, I don't think it was funny at all. Kaio shocked at his puns. Someone painted the monuments, then he laughed a little. He really has a strong sense of humor. Maybe a little more, thought Naruto. There's paint on monument's nose. Kaio laughed more once again. Naruto chuckled. The monuments are flawless, and he noticed that Kaio laughed harder. Haha, you laughed. Kaio-sama, you laughed. Kaio rolled on the floor laughed, then he got up, and tried to not laugh otherwise he would break his laugh box. He lifted his sunglass, and wiped his tear off of his eyes. You're no slouch at this, huh? You're a pro, aren't you? Then he looked at Naruto. Very well, I will give you my training. I will teach you, my greatest gag. Naruto cleared his throat. Sorry, excuse me. I didn't come all the way to ask you to teach me the gags. I came here to ask you to teach me martial arts. What, you want to learn martial arts? Shocked Kaio, why didn't you say so sooner? Then he shifted into stance. All right, come at me. I want to see what kind of skill you possess. Naruto chuckled. Finally, however he had a hard time to get in his stance. What's the matter? Asked Kaio. Say, why does this planet have heavy gravity, even though it's only small? Kaio chuckled. Where did you come from, Earth? Naruto nodded. Actually, I came from planet Element, but I went into different dimension by creating portal. It was an accident, although. Ah, I see. Then this is heavy, right? This is a small planet, but it has incredible gravity, see? I'll bet it's about 10 times what it is on your planet and Earth. That means your own weight is 10 times greater, explained Kaio. Then he strolled to Naruto casually, and stared at him. Show me how high you can jump. Jump harder as you can. Okay, obeyed Naruto. Naruto did try his best to jump higher as he could. He went back to the ground because of gravity. He stumbled and fell backward. Damn, it's no use. That's height I can only jump right now. Kaio shocked and thought to himself, if he can jump that high in 10 times his normal gravity, then he smiled, I would never thought that ninja guy would be able to jump higher on his first time here. He's promising guy. Okay then, we will start your training. How much time do you plan to spend with me? Asked Kaio. Naruto sighed. I am not sure how many days it took for me to reach here, however, I doubt I would have plenty of time here. I heard that Saiyans would be on way to Earth to do some awful stuff. I'd like for you to train me until that time, even if it's short. Saiyans, huh, wondered Kaio. You've had some nasty folks set their sights on you, alright. Well then, I'll check into when these Saiyans are going to reach Earth for you. Kaio checked into space with his antenna and saw 3 spacebots flying through the outer space. The Saiyans are flying that way, alright. They will arrive on Earth in, let's see, about 240 days, I'd say. Naruto shocked. Whoa, you can tell that. Yeah, these handy antenna are reliable, antenna some, chuckled Kaio. Suddenly, he laughed so hard due to one of his joke he just made. That was great, but he noticed that Naruto didn't laugh. He walked away from him, and sighed, maybe I should give up training you. Naruto held his stomach and laughed, man, you're funny. You're funny. Dat boya, wasn't it? Smiled Kaio. Then Naruto realized what Kaio said about Saiyans. Wait a minute, did you say 240 days? Wow, I ran all the way for only 3 months, huh? Kaio smiled, yeah, 240 days should be plenty, right? Me training you on this planet for 240 days will have the same value as if you trained for 1,000 years on Earth. Really? However, one of them is not Saiyans, said Kaio. Huh, what do you mean? One of them is not Saiyans, wondered Naruto. There's 3 space pods that are on way to Earth. There's human inside the space pod. Apparently, he is from the same planet you were from. What? Shocked Naruto. How can that be? I thought my planet is different dimension from the Earth. Tell me who is he? That guy is probably, replied Kaio, then he looked at Naruto, Orochimaru. Naruto widened his eyes, and remembered who he was. Orochimaru. He is really here in this dimension. I thought he got dragged into the portal along with us on Earth. But how did he end up with the Saiyans? Let me ask you something. Did you happen to yell loud enough back on your planet before the portal showed up? Asked Kaio. Naruto remembered that he did yell loud when Orochimaru was about to hit him. Yeah, I did. Why? Kaio smiled. Did you know that your planet is in the same dimension as Earth here? Really? Shocked Naruto. Kaio nodded. I knew everything about your planet. Your planet is very near end of North Galaxy, even further away from planet Namek. There's no such as other dimension. It doesn't exist. But how did I end up on Earth there anyways, wondered Naruto. Kaio chuckled. If you're good person, you will be sent to Earth when you created the portal. To Earth, it's like Element's sibling planet. If you're bad person, you will be sent to planet Vegeta. It's like enemy of Element. However, since planet Vegeta was destroyed, the bad people will follow the king or prince, or another Saiyan. Even if all Saiyans were wiped out, you would be sent to vastness of space where planet Vegeta was. You would die there without oxygen. Oh, really? Even though it's very far, far away from Earth, there's no way that I could go back to Element, right? Asked Naruto. Kaio nodded. Right, unless you use faster spaceship, you cannot get there. Naruto stared at Kaio, and realized, hey, Kaio-sama. I have no time to waste. Train me. Fine. However, even if you do train with me, there's no guarantee that you will be able to Saiyans and Orochimaru, said Kaio. He held his index finger up. Orochimaru got even stronger than before because of Saiyans. The 2 Saiyans that are headed for Earth have just that much awesome power. To be honest with you, their strength is even greater than my own. No way. They are even stronger than you, Kaio-sama, shocked Naruto. That's right. Which means that if you cannot at least surpass me, it will be impossible for you to beat the Saiyans and Orochimaru. Naruto got in thought. Sorry, Goku-sensei. You're in hell now. You won't have a chance to get trained under Kaio-sama. Looks like you might be pretty much useless when you come back to life. I guess I will be the one to save the world. Kaio smiled. Okay then. Allow me to introduce them. Naruto confused. Huh. Them. Who's them? Namikaze Minato. Uzumaki Kushina. Come out, cried Kaio. The man that came out of Kaio's house almost looked like Naruto's hair, especially without whiskey on his cheeks. Hey, Naruto, what's up? That guy must be Namikaze Minato. The red-haired woman that came along with Minato and her face almost looked like Naruto's face. Hello, that woman must be Uzumaki Kushina. She walked along with Minato and went close to Naruto. They stared down at 13-year-old boy and smiled. Naruto figured who they were, until he realized that Kaio called Uzumaki Kushina. That woman has my family name. Then he stared at Kushina and Minato who were smiling at him. Mother, he realized that man who wrapped his arm around Kushina's shoulder might be, father. No way. Yondaime Hokage is my father. Naruto was happy to see Uzumaki Kushina, except for Minato. He was not sure if he should be happy to see him or not. He had mixed feeling between happy and crying as he wiped the tear off of his eyes. Father. What is it, Naruto? Suddenly, Naruto punched his own father in the gut. He could tell that his father was in pain. Naruto cried, "Why did you seal the QB inside your own son? Do you know what I went through because of that? All the grown-ups looked at me with contempt, and I couldn't make any friends. I wanted people to accept me, so I trained really hard to become strong. Then I met Iruka-sensei, Kakashi-sensei, Goku-sensei, and others. And I was happy because they helped make me stronger. Pervy Hermit told me that QB was inside me. I remembered something about you. You died the same time the QB attacked Konoha when you gave a birth to me. So I began to think that you were the one who sealed the QB inside me." He rubbed his head, then wiped his eyes, but, what am I saying? Damn it, am I supposed to be happy or mad? I don't know anymore. Minato smiled and decided to ask, Naruto, how old are you now? Naruto still wiped his tear off of his eyes, and replied, 13. Kushina smiled, wow, you're already 13 years old. Minato sighed, it must have been hard for you, I'm sorry, Naruto. I suppose after putting my own son through so much, I have no right to act like a father and apologize. Naruto finally finished wiping tears off of his eyes and stared at Minato, it's alright, already. I'm the son of Yondaime Hokage, so I can handle it. I must tell you something why I sealed half of QB's chakra inside you. When QB attacked the village 13 years ago, I learned something. Age 762, January 15th Otherworld, Planet Kaio. Naruto widened his eyes, and shocked, what? There was a mastermind who manipulate the QB, said Minato, to attack the village. Mastermind. Minato nodded, a powerful ninja at that. It would require a special kind of power to go up against such an opponent. I believe he will attack our village again. Naruto frowned, too late. I went to Earth, yes, we watched from inside you, replied Minato. You watched? Shocked Naruto. Kushina nodded and smiled, yeah. We knew about everything. We know about Son Goku, and others. Said Minato. Never mind that, who used the QB to attack the village before? Who was it? Asked Naruto. Minato replied, the criminal organization called Akatsuki. One of them, the one with the mask. The one with the mask? Asked Naruto. He could see that Minato and Kushina were sad. Back then, he read through every action I took, said Minato. He's no ordinary ninja. No ordinary ninja. Shocked Naruto, you mean there's more ninja that are stronger than even Orochimaru? Minato nodded, that's right, however, Kaio-sama told you something about Orochimaru, didn't he? Naruto nodded. Minato continued, now he learned how to use ki or something energy. Because of that, he's even stronger than before. But how is he very stronger? Wondered Naruto. He's fast learner. He will obtain everything he learned right away. Now with his power, he could wipe all cages anytime if he wanted to. He even could blow planet element up if he wanted to. What? He can blow up the planet? Shocked Naruto. Yeah, never mind Orochimaru. We must tell you what happened 13 years ago, sighed Minato. Kushina frowned. It's about when you were born 13 years ago. We'll tell you what really happened. What really happened, 13 years ago? Asked Naruto. I was the QB's Jinchuriki before you, began Kushina, let's start from there. You were the QB's Jinchuriki, Mom? Asked Naruto. Yes. Before I can tell you what happened 13 years ago, I need to tell you more about me, sighed Kushina, I was chosen as the second Jinchuriki host of QB. Truth be told, I was brought here for the express purpose of being the QB's Jinchuriki. Why? Why did they have to choose someone from another land? Asked Naruto. You're right, frowned Kushina, I'm from a different land and village. But the land of fire and the land of eddies, as well as Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Eddy Village, share a deep bond. The shinobi of the Senju clan of the Hidden Leaf and the shinobi of the Uzumaki clan of the Hidden Eddy were distant blood relatives. Our people lived long, so the Hidden Eddy Village was also known as the Village of Longevity. And we specialized in Fuinjutsu, sealing jutsu. We were also a rowdy bunch. The former Shishofuan tetragram seal on your abdomen is based on a jutsu from our village. Naruto pulled his shirt and checked his own abdomen, and sighed, yeah, I remember. But now it's gone. Because you died, so the Kyuubi died together with you. The seal on your abdomen is gone. Anyways, Minato, your father, learned various fuinjutsu from my mother. Naruto, the symbol on your back, that is the symbol of the Hidden Eddy. Even today in Hidden Leaf Village that symbol is a symbol of friendship, isn't it? Naruto looked at Kushina, and asked, so the Hidden Eddy Village? Kushina frowned, it no longer exists. During the era of war, our fuinjutsu abilities were greatly feared, so the village was targeted and destroyed. Those who survived feared for their safety, so they hid their identities and scattered throughout the region. Still, why were you chosen? Asked Naruto. It seems that even among the Hidden Eddy, I was born with powerful chakra able to suppress the Kyuubi, said Kushina. She could see that Naruto gritted his teeth in anger. She asked, do you know about the battle between the Nadaime Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and Uchiha Madara? Naruto nodded. The Jinchuriki before me was the woman, continued Kushina, who became the wife of the Nadaime Hokage. Her name was Uzumaki Mito. In order to help Lord Nadaime Hokage who had obtained the Kyuubi in his battle with Madara, Lady Mito sealed the Kyuubi inside her body with a fuinjutsu and became its Jinchuriki. From then on, the Hidden Leaf maintained possession of the Kyuubi. But when Lady Mito's days were coming to an end, I was brought to Hidden Leaf as the vessel for the Kyuubi. Naruto shook his head, and frowned, you were just being used. Kushina sighed, when I was first brought to the village, I wasn't told a thing. It was quite a shock when I was told why I was there. This was a closely guarded secret, and the only ones who knew were the Sandaime Hokage and a few of the top officials. Not even the legendary Sannin were told about this. I was nearly overwhelmed by the pressure of being the Kyuubi and the loneliness I felt. But Lady Mito, the previous Jinchuriki, summoned me. She told me that I would become the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. She told me to fill myself with love first, then she smiled, by filling myself with love first, I would be able to live a happy life despite being the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. That is what Lady Mito taught me. Naruto shocked, so you were happy even if you were the Jinchuriki, Mom? Kushina smiled, yes. Naruto's tears began to leak off from his eyes, and he had to wipe off the tear of his eyes. Naruto, now why are you crying? Asked Kushina. Minato smiled, hey, Naruto. Don't cry. Men don't cry. Naruto still wiped off the tear of his eyes, and sighed, wait, what is it? Asked Kushina. Naruto looked at Minato. That time 13 years ago when the Kyuubi attacked Hidden Leaf Village, Dad, you said a man wearing an Akatsuki mask was behind it. He looked back to Kushina, so how come you had the Kyuubi, Mom? Kushina frowned, it's Touré. The fact is that, 13 years ago, a masked man was manipulating the Kyuubi that attacked the village. But moments earlier, I had the Kyuubi sealed and in my possession. Then why? Asked Naruto. That masked man. I don't know how, but that masked man knew, sighed Kushina. Knew what? He knew about the one chance he had to weaken the seal, replied Kushina, which kept the Biju-tailed beasts locked inside the Jinchuriki. He waited for that moment to steal the Kyuubi. Naruto shocked, the one chance to weaken the seal. What was it? Kushina frowned, it was childbirth. During the approximately 10 months from the time a female Jinchuriki gets pregnant and gives birth, the Biju seal weakens proportionally as the energy normally used to maintain the seal is diverted to the growing baby. Then, Kushina frowned, 12 years ago, on October 10th, flashback began age 748, October 10th Konohagakure, Land of Fire, element Kushina's birth took place in secret, as the seal could possibly break. Soon after Naruto's birth, a masked man killed all the Anbu guarding the cave where he was born. The masked man broke through the barrier and kidnapped Uzumaki Naruto. As the Kyuubi was starting to leak out of Uzumaki Kushina, the masked man demanded Namikaze Minato gets away from Kushina or Naruto died. He's about to strike Naruto, but Minato saved him. But the masked man managed to put explosive tag on Naruto. Kushina cried. Luckily Naruto and Minato escaped, but the masked man escaped with Kushina and released the Kyuubi. He tried to kill Kushina but Minato appeared and saved her. He then took her to his house. She told them they're heading for the village and to stop them. Minato putted on his cloak and headed to stop him. As the masked man moved towards Konoha, several people felt the Kyuubi's presence, including Kakashi, the Sandaime Hokage, and Edik. The masked man then summoned the fox causing chaos. The Sandaime organized Konoha to battle the fox, while wondering how Kushina's seal broke, despite all the precaution. Minato entered Konoha, on Hokage Monument, causing the Kyuubi to sense him and fired a Baijudama-tailed beast ball at him. Minato countered the blast with space-time barrier sending the blast behind Konoha, alerting the village of his presence. Minato was ambushed by the masked man, who tried to send Minato away. Using the Hiraishin no Jutsu, Minato quickly escaped. The masked man followed after him. Realizing that the masked man's strength and knowledge was too abnormal, Minato questioned if the masked man was Uchiha Madara, but stated it was impossible, as Uchiha Madara was dead. The masked man speculated on the matter. Minato concluded that with a technique superior to his own and his ability to control the Kyuubi, the masked man was too dangerous to be left alive. The battle came down to speed. They charged towards each other. Minato threw a Hiraishin no Jutsu only to have the masked man phase through it. He then formed a Rasengan. The masked man grabbed Minato's shirt, thinking he had won, only to have Minato disappeared and reappeared over the masked man with the Rasengan. Minato struck down the masked man with Rasengan. Minato then teleported to him and released the Kyuubi from his control. Acknowledging his defeat, the masked man once again relocated to a safe distance from the Yondaime, but not before stating he would had another chance at world conquest, and then he too teleported away. Meanwhile, Minato arrived in Konoha and asked the large toad to keep the Kyuubi still while he prepared to teleport it to a safer location. After relocating to another place, he was unexpectedly met by Uzumaki Kushina and their newborn, who restrained the Kyuubi using her chakra chain. Kushina looked at the crying newborn, and chuckled weakly, "Did I wake you up?" "Sorry, Naruto." Minato panted. Kushina smiled, "I'm going to draw the Kyuubi with me to my death. So we can delay the revival of the Kyuubi. I'll be able to save all of you with what little chakra I have left. Thank you for everything you've done for me. Kushina, it's because of you that I'm the Yondaime Hokage." Minato frowned. "You made me a man. And you made me this baby's father. And yet," Kushina chuckled weakly, "Minato, don't give me that look. I'm happy that you loved me. And today is this child's birthday. If I were to imagine me alive and our future together, the three of us as a family, I can't see us having anything but a happy life. If I were allowed just one regret, it's that I won't be able to see Naruto grow up. How I wish I could have seen that." "Kushina, there is no need for you to die with the Kyuubi," suggested Minato. The tear began to leak out of his eyes. "Preserve what little chakra you have left for a reunion with Naruto," as he wiped his tear off. "I'll seal all of your remaining chakra inside Naruto. It will be part of Hake no Fuinshiki, 8 trigram sealing style. Then I'll take the Kyuubi with me with the only Fuinjutsu I can do since I'm not a Jinchuriki, the Shiki Fujin Dead Demon Consuming Seal." Kushina shocked, "But the caster that uses that jutsu." Minato sighed, "And one more thing. I will only seal half of the Kyuubi. Sealing a power this immense is physically impossible. It's also strategically unwise. If you take the Kyuubi and its seal with you when you die, there won't be a Jinchuriki around when he reemerges. That will upset the balance of power between the Biju. The Shiki Fujin will seal half of the Kyuubi with me forever. As for the other half of the Kyuubi, I will seal it inside Naruto with the Hake no Fuinshiki." He saw that Kushina shocked, and he smiled, "I know what you want to say. But remember what Jiraiya-sensei said about world upheaval. And the calamities that would follow. 2 things were confirmed for me today. That masked man who attacked you today is a harbinger of disaster. And the one who will stop him is this child. This infant whose godfather is Jiraiya-sensei. He will open up the future as a Jinchuriki. I don't know why, but I'm convinced of this." He put the baby down. "But Minato," shocked Kushina. Minato made a hand seal, then finally clapped the hands. Shiki Fujin. When summoned, the Shinigami hovered behind Minato to wrap prayer beads over him. "Let's put our trust in this child. He's our son, after all," said Minato. "When I'm finished with the Shiki Fujin, I will seal your chakra inside Naruto. When he tries to control the Kyuubi's power as a Jinchuriki, I want you to help him out." "Our son," sniffed Kushina, then she looked at Naruto. "He's our son, which is why I don't want to put such a terrible burden on him. And also, why use the Shiki Fujin? If it's just so I can meet a grown-up Naruto, even if it's just for a short while, there's no need for you to die. I want you to stay by Naruto as he grows up and protect him. I don't get it. To keep the balance of Biju. For the sake of the nation and the village. Why must Naruto be sacrificed? Why must you sacrifice yourself for me?" Minato smiled. "To forsake one's nation, and one's village, is the same as forsaking one's child. Your own homeland was destroyed, so you of all people should know, the harsh life that awaits those without a country. Besides, our family is, shinobi. And finally, even if I were to live, I'm no match to you. Even though you won't have much time with him, there are some things only you as his mother can tell Naruto. Things that I can't. That's a mother's role. I'm not doing this just for you. I'm doing this for Naruto." Then he picked the Naruto up, and smiled, "I will gladly die for my son. It's my duty as his father." The soul of Minato was then partially separated from the body and restrained by the Shinigami's hair as it thrusts into his chest to grab the soul of the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi glared at Minato and growled, "Damn you, Yondaime Hokage." "Seal," commanded Minato. The Shinigami then performed the sealing by dragging half of Kyuubi's soul into him whose stomach was branded with the seal's mark. "My body is getting numb," thought Minato while panting. "I never expected such massive chakra." "Damn you," growled the Kyuubi. Suddenly, Minato summoned a ceremonial throne with 8 candles. "All right, next is the Hake no Fuin Shiki." He walked to the throne and said, "I will seal the Kyuubi inside Naruto," as he placed Naruto on it. "The ritual altar," thought the Kyuubi. "Does he intend to seal me again? Furthermore, inside that baby." Minato saw that Kushina panted hardly, then he ran toward her. "Kushina, are you all right?" Suddenly, the demon fox saw the opening and he felt the chain loose, then he went to attack Naruto. "Right now," thought the Kyuubi. Kushina and Minato had to shelter the Kyuubi's attack in front of the baby as the Kyuubi's claw went pierce through both Minato and Kushina's chest. The bleed leaked on Naruto from Kushina's blood. Minato stared at Kushina and panted, "I said that this was the father's duty." Kushina chuckled weakly, "Then all the more, since I'm his mother." The Kyuubi growled, "Why, you?" Kushina glanced over her shoulder at Minato behind him, and chuckled weakly, "This is the first time I lost an argument." Minato smiled, "Okay, I understand that you're determined to do this. Thank you, Kushina." He wiped the blood off of his lip then drew the blood on his palm hand. He made another hand seal slowly, and shouted, "Kuchio's no jutsu." Summoning technique. He summoned a scroll toad. The small toad took a glance at the Kyuubi and startled, "Kyuubi." Then he looked at Minato, and growled, "What? Yondaime too. What's the meaning of this?" "Garotora, I'm going to give you the sealing formula's key," said Minato, "take it immediately to Jiraiya-sensei and store it away." Garotora sighed, "You have my word. I confirm the key is in my possession," as the scroll opened, then closed again. "And now, I'm off." The toad disappeared in puff of smoke. Minato smiled, "That should do it." The Shinigami licked the sword. "Kushina, my time is running out," said Minato. He looked at Kushina, and sighed, "I'm going start the Hake no Fuin Shiki. I want to put some of my chakra in Naruto too. It'll be quite a while before we can see him. Let's tell him what we want to say." Kushina smiled, "Naruto, don't be picky. Eat lots and grow strong. Make sure you bathe every day and stay warm. Also don't stay up late. You need lots of sleep. And make friends. You don't need a lot of friends. Just a few, ones you can really, really trust. I wasn't very good at it, but keep up with your studies and practice your ninjutsu hard. Remember that everyone has strengths and weaknesses. So don't get too depressed if you can't do something well. Respect your teachers and upperclassmen at the academy. Oh, and this is important. It's about the 3 prohibitions for a shinobi. Be extra careful about lending and borrowing money. Put your mission wages into your savings account. No alcohol until you're 20. Too much can ruin your health, so drink in moderation. Another prohibition is women. I'm a woman, so I don't know too much about this, but all you need to remember is that this world is made up of men and women. So it's only natural to take an interest in girls, but just don't get hooked on bad women. Find someone just like me. Speaking of the 3 prohibitions, be wary of Jiraiya-sensei, you know. She could heard Minato chuckled. She began to breath hardly, but she continued, "Naruto, from now on, you're going to face lots of pain and hardship. Be true to yourself. Have a dream and have the confidence to make that dream come true. There's so much." Then she began crying and sniffed, "Oh, so much more that I want to pass on to you. I wish I could stay with you longer. I love you." She looked at Minato behind her. "Minato, I'm sorry I used up your time." Minato shook his head, and smiled, "Oh, it's okay." He looked at Naruto and smiled, "Naruto, my message to you is, I guess it's the same as your nagging mother's." He closed his eyes as the tear came from his eyes, and sighed, "Hake no Fuin Shiki." Flashback ended. Kushina wiped her tears off of her eyes, and sniffed, "I'm sorry for making you the Kyuubi's vessel. For putting our burden on your shoulders, for not being able to live by your side, for not being able to shower you with love." Naruto smiled, "You don't have to apologize. It was rough in the past because I was a Jinchuriki. But I never held it against you or Dad. I admit I didn't really know what parental love was. After all, you and Dad weren't around. I just had a feeling. But I know now that you and Dad gave your lives just for me. And I realize that even more than the Kyuubi, my vessel is filled with your love. I'm happy. I'm glad I'm your son, Mom and Dad." Kushina looked at Minato and smiled, "Minato, are you listening?" Minato smiled, "Yeah, our hopes did reach our boy," chuckled Kushina. Then she hugged Naruto, and chuckled softly, Naruto, thank you for letting me be your mom. And thank you for letting Minato be your dad. Thank you for being born to us. Thank you so very much. Naruto chuckled, Mom, Dad, from now on, I promise I'll eat vegetables and not just ramen. I like taking baths, so don't worry about that. I go to the hot springs a lot too. And I get lots of sleep. In fact, I sleep too much, ya know. As for friends, I have lots of good ones. I wish you could have met them. There's one that I'm not getting along with though. As for studying, well, you feared right, Mom. But I don't get depressed over that, ya know. A lot happened with my teachers and upperclassmen during my academy days, but we respect each other now. I never meet Jiraiya sensei before, but as you describe him, it sounds like Mugen Roshi-sama. He taught me about 3 things. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, a ninja of the Hidden Leaf, and the future Turtle Hermit School. My dream is to go back to my world and become the Hokage. And I'll surpass all the Hokage who came before me. Then he pumped his fist on his chest. And I'm going to be cooler than you, Dad. And I'm going to be a stronger shinobi than you, Mom. Minato patted on the top of Naruto's head and smiled, I'm sure you will be cooler than me. I'm sure you would be stronger than Kushina. Naruto nodded and smiled, yeah. I will be stronger when I get trained here before the Saiyans and Orochimaru get here. Minato looked at Naruto and smiled, I'm sure you will. By the way, how did you die? Naruto frowned. The Saiyan named Raditz, Goku-sensei's brother, killed me. Minato sighed, oh, I see. Well, I have prepared for you anyways. Kushina and I will train you for 3 months. We will teach you how to master Rasengan, as well as Uzumaki's sealing technique. Also, you will learn how to walk on water. Naruto looked at Minato with disbelief, walk on water. How is that possible? Minato sighed, yes, it is. Do you remember how you learned to walk on tree? Yeah, I remember. But I am just only to be able to master Bukujutsu. I need to improve my Bukujutsu better, replied Naruto. Don't worry. The Bukujutsu technique should be after walk on water anyways, said Minato. Then he looked at Kaio. Kaio-sama, Kushina and I are going to take him to Kaioshin realm. He will be come back here in next 3 months. Is that okay, Kaio-sama? Kaio shocked. What? Do you know that Kaioshin wouldn't allow human touched it, not even us Kaio, nor Grand Kaio? Surely, you've been there before, but Naruto. Actually, I already have been approved, anyways, said Minato. He looked down at Naruto and smiled, let's go, Naruto. Naruto nodded, I'm ready. Suddenly, Minato disappeared along with Naruto and Kushina. Kaio smiled and thought, this Naruto guy, he might be able to surpass his father and mother. He is sure to be stronger later. Age 762, April 11th came house, earth, came, hame, chanted Sasuke while he stared at the ocean. Sasuke formed when cupped hands are drawn to his side and the ki is concentrated into a single point between the cupped hand, and he shouted, ha. The hands were then thrust forward to shoot out a streaming, decent beam of energy. The powerful beam went through the ocean as the tide wave went over the island. He mastered it, too. Smiled Sakura. She was wet because of the ocean went over the island. She looked over her shoulder and smiled, Mugen Roshi-sama. Roshi watched whole time and he smiled, congratulations. You guys. This is your last day to train here under me. However, before you leave, sighed Roshi, Sakura. What is it, Mugen Roshi-sama? Asked Sakura. I would like you to show me your panties, chuckled Roshi. He didn't realize Bulma was behind him. Bulma clobbered Roshi's head and yelled, what do you think? Use 12 years old girl like that. Don't do that ever again, which scared Sasuke and Sakura. Yow, groaned Roshi. What's wrong with you, Bulma? I asked her very nice. No, it's not. She's underage, you pervert. Scolded Bulma. Roshi cleared his throat and looked at Sasuke and Sakura again. Anyways, I want to tell you something important you need to know. The Kamehameha wave would be more powerful if you combine your chakra with the Kamehameha wave. Combine your fire breath with Kamehameha, for instance, Sasuke. He noticed that Sasuke and Sakura nodded. He smiled. Before you go, I'm giving you the GI that has similar design to Goku's. Of course, as you requested, Sasuke, you wanted to put your clan on the back of your new GI, right? That's right. I wanted to have Uchiha clan on my new GI, replied Sasuke. Roshi picked the capsule from his pocket and threw it at the ground. Suddenly, the capsule turned into the opened briefcase. There's 2 GI inside the briefcase as well as pairs of boots and wristbands. You can have them. One of these is yours, Sasuke. Sasuke picked his new GI up and took a look at it, and then he put it on. It consisted of blue training boots, orange baggy pants, a blue belt, and an orange tank top with a normal blue tank top underneath it. On the back of his shirt there was an Uchiha clan, and on the front was a symbol of small turtle school. Same goes for Sakura, but except for Uchiha clan on her back. On the back of her shirt, there was a large Kame school symbol. Thank you, Mutin Roshi-sama, said Sakura. Roshi rubbed his head and chuckled, there's no need to thank me. You can go now. Sasuke, do you like your new GI? Sasuke smirked, yeah, I like it. Then they levitated up to the sky and Sakura smiled, see you next 6 month, Mutin Roshi-sama. Bulma-san, please tell Yamashua and others I said hi for me, said Bulma. Sakura nodded, and then she looked at Sasuke, let's go, Sasuke. Let's hurry to Kami's place, said Sasuke. They flew away and left the island. Bulma watched them leaving the island and smiled, Mutin Roshi-sama, can you believe that they are a lot stronger than before? Roshi nodded, I suppose so. Now, they surpassed me. They even surpassed Kuririn and others. I can't imagine they might be able to save the world. With Gohan for the first 6 months, after Gohan became the Rampage Great Ape, when Gohan woke up. He couldn't walk almost as if he walked for the first time when he was baby. Then a group of wild animals chased Gohan when he fell into a hole in the desert, where he discovered an ancient probe robot in the cavernous ruins below. After Gohan reactivated the robot, it told him not to disturb it, but reconsidered when the boy started to cry and, reluctantly, watched over him, as he was still dependent on others. Gohan tried to dig the robot out of the sand as it told him how, 30 years previous, it had been buried by an earthquake as it was excavating the ruins. However, the unstable cavern began to crumble around the two, and the robot sacrificed itself to send Gohan back to the surface, being smashed in the collapse. Tears streaming down his face, Gohan overcame his sorrows, walking away back into the desert. Later, Gohan accidentally shared a cave with an injured Apatosaurus, and after a fright, tended to its wound with a treatment his father taught him. Suddenly, while he was away gathering medicine, the carnivorous dinosaur that pursued Gohan earlier attacks. Gohan leapt to the wounded dinosaur's defense with his new sword, but is no match, and as the boy was knocked unconscious the unlucky dinosaur was eaten. As Gohan endured his survival training, he became stronger, so much so that the meat-eating dinosaur has had the tables turned on it and was instead being eaten from the tail up by Gohan as he continued to slice off parts of its tail with his sword and cook the pieces. Piccolo poured on his training, even becoming capable of levitating pyramids using telekinesis. Not knowing his own strength, however, he lost control and accidentally caused great cracks to form in the surrounding continent, not to mention smashing the pyramids. Elizwir, Gohan was in the middle of his own training when he was swallowed by the resulting fissure. Panicked for his life, he barely escaped with his own skin. Meanwhile, Gohan was shown playfully dodging the saber-toothed tiger as he gathered berries and nuts. He speedily dodged and jumped away from the beast, eventually tiring it out to the point of exhaustion. After which Gohan took off again as he prompted the big cat to keep on chasing after him. Gohan was still being chased by the quickly tiring saber-toothed tiger, witnessed Piccolo honing his powers by levitating rocks and boulders, and creating a gigantic controlled whirlwind that managed to rotate a whole circle of land in a complete 360-degree circle. Gohan continued his previous studies before being taken from home by solving a complex math equation, though this wasn't enough to keep him from missing his family. Later, Gohan was just finishing the construction of a homemade sand yacht which he would be using to try and cross the desert. Instead, he was attacked by a sand eagle which tried to lash out and grabbed him with its gigantic talons. He managed to maneuver the craft to avoid the airstrikes, but in doing so, drove himself into a patch of rocky land which slowly wore away at the fragile craft. It finally went to pieces on a downhill incline ending in a sheer cliff face where Gohan came upon, and nearly lands on, the saber-toothed tiger that had appeared previously in the desert. Once the eagle gave up on Gohan, it left him, not knowing that Gohan had not disappeared, but it's merely hidden in a pile of sand that he had fallen into where he landed. Once he digged himself out and saw the saber-tooth, though he hardly paid attention to its growling, he realized that he was on a beach, which in turn means that he had found the ocean. Trying to find his house, he sets off running to try and find his home by following the beach. He was followed shortly afterward by the saber-toothed tiger, who seemed to have grown somewhat of an attachment to him. While Gohan managed the beach's rocky terrain with relative ease, the big cat seemed to have quite a bit of trouble as it desperately tried to follow the young boy. The saber-tooth finally managed to catch up with Gohan when it found him asleep after he seemed to have eaten a large fish, leaving only the head, tail, and bones behind because he didn't even realize that the beast had been following him. The saber-tooth attempted to eat the meager scraps left behind by Gohan as he slept. When day breaks yet again, Gohan started off again with the saber-tooth following behind yet again. The two travel the beach for quite a while as Gohan continued to attempt to find his home. They bonded quite closely as Gohan was shown trying to pull the Sabretooth back up the face of a ledge it had apparently fallen off of. The Sabretooth woke up just as Gohan was departing, and barely managed to get on its feet quick enough to start following him as he faded out of sight. Finally, after running along the beach for several days, he came across at the same gigantic stone wall that he had encountered when he first found the beach. Once he got around it, he found both the remains of his sand craft and his footprint from before. After realizing that he had somehow walked in a complete circle, he ran past the weary tiger and into the woods, his destination, a gigantic mountain. Once he scrambled up the mountain's side and reached the peak, he looked around him and realized that Piccolo had actually stranded him on a gigantic deserted island. Once he realized this, he resolved to somehow get off the island and get home to his home. After much careful planning, he designed a raft that will enable him to sail off the island. In order to gather the needed materials to build his raft, chopped down a gigantic tree with his bare hands, then prepared it for building by using his sword to chop of the branches and leaves. He then dragged it onto the beach where he chopped it straight down the middle of the trunk and worked at hollowing it out as the Sabretooth tried its best to help. The sun sets just as he was finishing his work on the raft. He pushed it out into the water and bid the downcast Sabretooth farewell, promising to come back after he had seen his mother. It continued to watch him as he paddled out into the sunset and howled in its sadness. Once he found himself out far enough, Gohan released the tail and allowed the wind to carry him out to sea. Overjoyed at being on his way at last, he enjoyed the beautiful ocean and marine life as his ship leapt across the waves. Gohan, asleep at sea, awakened when it began raining and a violent storm began tossing his small craft around in the waves. Though he struggled to pull the sail down, it tore and he was left at the mercy of the gigantic storm swells. He began eating the food he had brought with him to keep up his strength when his ship started taking on water. He began bailing out the water and revealed that he cannot swim as he worked to keep his craft afloat. His ship finally fell apart under the strain and he was left clinging to a piece of lumber that he managed to hold onto. He was then swept into a waterspout and flung around. After the storm, he washed up on a beach, seemingly dead. He was found by two local children, Chico and Ram, who believed him to be a castaway. They at first believed him to be dead, and they did not believe him to have anything they considered valuable, until they found his sword. When Ram picked it up and tested it out, Gohan awakened, revealing he was merely unconscious, not dead. The two panic upon realizing that he was still alive, but then Gohan collapsed again and blacks out. When he awakened, Gohan found that the two had taken him in and had laid him on a bed. Ram and Chico introduced themselves and explained to Gohan where he is. Gohan discovered that they had brought him to a run-down old house with a few meager decorations and only a handful of intact pieces of furniture. Gohan then introduced himself and the two other children revealed that they are, in fact, orphans and they believed him to be parentless as well. After having been alone for so many months, was extremely joyful at having the chance to communicate with others again. They told their story to Gohan and explained why they are orphans. 2 years prior to Gohan's arrival, a gigantic tsunami destroyed the Tuan and killing almost everyone, leaving Ram and Chico to fend for themselves. They went on to explain about the other 5 parentless children who they banded together with in order to survive. Just as Gohan was about to explain how he still had his parents, a signal sounds from outside, interrupting him before he could finish. They made him follow them as they escaped from the adults who were coming after them. Gohan catched up just as Ram swung across from the building's roof to a small tree fort on a vine with Chico, but Ram promised to go back for him once his sister was across. But the two men caught up to Gohan before Ram could go back for him. Acting like a cornered animal, Gohan slipped away from his pursuers and leapt the entire distance between the roof and the tree and escaped their grasp. The adults were left speechless at seeing someone so young perform such a fantastic feat as Ram gloated to them from the tree fort. Ram explained to Gohan that the two men were from the home, a place where the children would be forced to do chores and work if they were caught. Gohan was stunned by this explanation and Ram went on to tell him that since they had found them, the adults would be back. Chico began to cry when he said this, but they were stopped when they hear screaming. They looked down and see that the adults had captured one of the other children, Ina, and were putting her in the black van they came in. The girl was rescued by a tall boy who zoomed past and took her from their grasp. Ram shouted out Pigaro's name in joy at seeing the big boy. Pigaro then proceeded to fight with the adults and defeated them one by one as they rushed at him. Once he had defeated them, he took Ina and they ran as the rest of the children threw rocks and debris at the last adult standing. Everyone banded together under Pigaro, and tried to drive them off. The woman, who was the only who did attack Pigaro, tried to tell them that if they came with the adults, they would go to a place where they would get new clothes and hot meals, but the children believers that she was lying. Pigaro yelled at them to let them stay in the village as the other children cheered him on. The adults then left in a huff, promising to return. Once they were gone, Ram introduced Gohan to Pigaro, who immediately took a liking to him. Now that the adults had left, the children go about their normal day. They played, wrestled, and Gohan joined Pigaro in climbing to the top of the tallest building that was left standing in the village. A while later Gohan walked around a nearby town, and created a distraction by crying in the town square. While the adults are gathering around him, the other children proceed to steal food from the nearby stands. Unfortunately, the children were caught in the act and were forced to abort their mission, running off as Gohan made his getaway as well. The adults chased after them, but they were not quick enough to keep up with the children, who left them in the dust as they kept on running. They escaped the final leg on bicycles as they were being chased by a police officer on a hover scooter. The children panicked as the officer gained ground on them, but his pursuit was stopped when he crashed into a stand selling flowers. Now that the officer was out of commission, they left the town in the dust, while Ram congratulated Gohan on his first food heist. Later that night, Gohan lies awoke as the other children slept peacefully. Making sure that they are truly asleep, he grabbed his belongings and walked out into the night. Pigaro, who was outside keeping watch, remembered the tidal wave that destroyed their village and took their parents away from them. He was snapped out of his thoughts when he saw Gohan walking out the door from his spot in the tree. He called down to Gohan to ask where he was going. He jumped down from the tree and had Gohan explain to him why he was going. Not knowing what else to do, Gohan revealed that he still had his mother, and was on his way to see her when he got caught by the storm. Much to his surprise, the other children had woken up and overheard him when he said this. He apologized for not tell them sooner, but they told him it does not really matter to them whether he had a family or not. When Gohan told them where his house was, Pigaro told him that Mount Paozu was nearby and he could take him there in the morning. When the children prompted him, he told them about his mother and his life back home. The children were impressed by his stories and told him about how many of cities were only 100 years old and how many children did not go to school then. They discussed how if things were different, they would set up a special place, just for orphans like them. They talked long and said how they would not build roads or highways and just lived off the land if it were up to them. After their talk, they all came to an agreement to take Gohan and dropped him off at his home. When one of them asked how they would accomplish this, Pigaro told them that he had a plan. The next day, they lie and waited for the people from the home to come again, but they grew anxious as they were late in coming that day. Ram believed they may had finally given up, but one of them spotted the black van from the day before and sounded the alarm. When the adults left their vehicle, they were immediately bombarded with rocks and pebbles shot by the children. With the men distracted, Pigaro pulled the woman out of the car and commandeers the vehicle, then signaled to the children who ran from their hiding places and headed towards the van. They all piled in just as the police arrived on the scene. Upon seeing the law, Pigaro ordered them to scramble and they all rushed to get out, but they surrounded before they could run away and hide. While the other children were grabbed, Gohan leapt over the head of the man who was trying to get him. The children fought valiantly, running, kicking, punching, and biting the officers to keep them from taking them. Unfortunately, it was not enough as the police soon overwhelmed all of the children except for Gohan, who barely managed to free Pigaro by slicing his handcuffs in half with his sword. Considering the future of the other orphans, Pigaro grabbed Gohan and they escaped in a stolen police craft, to the betrayal and disappointment of the other children orphans. After they had escaped, Gohan grabbed Pigaro by the arm and begged to tell him why he had chosen to leave the other children behind, when Pigaro punched Gohan and knocked him down. Pigaro stated that his reason for this was because he does not want them to become delinquents. After he dropped him off on the slopes of Mount Paozu, Pigaro drove away with tears in his eyes as he sets off to start a new life as Gohan bid him farewell. Once Pigaro was out of sight, Gohan began to climb the side of Mount Paozu, eagerly energetic to see his mother again. Once he had climbed the side, he ran a path that he had found which will took him towards his home. After a few hours of running and climbing, Gohan rejoiced when he finally came within viewing distance of his home, even managing to see his mother through their front window. He began to make the final steps of his journey, but began thinking about the orphans, who continued to be brave even without their parents. After he thought about them and the many hardship they had faced, he ran back into the forest with tears in his eyes. After running as far as he could, he finally stopped near a big trees nearby a small patch of flowers. As he tried to keep himself from crying, he sensed someone and looked up, only to see Piccolo, who appeared to have waited for him there. "What is your mission?" asked Piccolo. "Say it." To defeat the Saiyans, and to save, answered Gohan, the Earth. We're going back, said Piccolo. He took him back to the island where Gohan would continue his training. Age 762. March 4th Break Wasteland, Earth. After half a year of overcoming emotional and physical hardship, Gohan was finally being trained by Piccolo. It's been 6 months since we parted company, said Piccolo. He could tell that Gohan was acting tough. He chuckled, it looks like you've gotten a little better. Now then, how about I start training you properly? Come at me. Gohan went to attack Piccolo, however Piccolo dodged every single of his attacks. After Gohan tried to sidekick Piccolo, and he hit Gohan with his backhand to knock him over the small boulder. One more time, cried Gohan. He leapt the boulder and went to attack Piccolo, but once again, Piccolo disappeared the moment Gohan punched. Piccolo reappeared behind Gohan and chuckled, over here, and he kicked Gohan to knock him over the small boulder once again. Do not lose sight of your opponent, said Piccolo. Gohan sat up, and rubbed his head trying to not feel the pain. I can't see anything that fast, whined Gohan. Piccolo let his hands rested on his each hip side, and chuckled, you don't see it. You feel it. Gohan got up and sighed, that's easy for you to say. Suddenly, Piccolo electrified Gohan with his eye lasers to knock Gohan down. Piccolo said, if you've got enough time to whine, think about what you should do instead. Then move. We've got 6 more months. When you're not eating or sleeping, you will fight me. Set your mind straight. Gohan got up and stared at Piccolo with the sad face. You can't mend it. I'll die, whined Gohan. Then get stronger. Even stronger than me. And, scowled Piccolo, stronger than the Saiyans who will be coming in 6 months. Suddenly, Piccolo went to attack Gohan, but the young kid was lucky to dodge most of his attack until Piccolo kicked Gohan in the gut. Gohan was knocked away from Piccolo, and landed on the land safely as he gritted his teeth staring at Piccolo. Now, come on, demanded Piccolo. Gohan went to attack the green-skinned warrior as Piccolo parried every of his attacks. Kami's lookout. Few days ago, since Sasuke and Sakura had arrived on Kami's lookout above the sky, Kuririn introduced them to Tenshinhan, Yamashua, and Chaozu. Sasuke sparred Kuririn and others sometime the other days. Tenshinhan was a human, he was bald with third eyes on his forehead. He wore white t-shirt, green pants, and black boots. Yamashua had black long hair, and scar on his left cheek. He wore orange gi similar to Goku and Kuririn's, and he wore blue shoes. Chaozu was a plain white skin and red cheeks. Just like Kuririn, Chaozu didn't have a visible nose, and was quite short in height. He had only one hair upon his head. He wore crane school green and yellow shirt. Sasuke practiced to combine the fire breath along with his new signature attack, Kamehameha Wave, while Sakura worked alone on her new technique, even although she didn't have her own signature just like Sasuke. When Sakura trained herself, she also spotted Yajirobe, who sat by the pineapple tree, eating the chip, and she thought to herself, sure enough. He reminded me of Choji. Yamashua tried to maintain his position by vertically pushed up with his index finger, however he couldn't concentrate on pushing up, because the butterflies bothered him. Kuririn trained himself. Then he jumped, and kicked the pineapple tree, then bounced himself away from it as the coconut fell on Yajirobe's head. Chazo fired a superheated beam shot from his finger through every pineapple. It was called Dodonpa. One of pineapple fell on Yajirobe, but it didn't flinch him at all, while Tenshinhan divided himself into 4 identical copies. Tenshinhan saw that Mr. Popo walked alongside by Kami, so he decided to merge other 3 identical copies back together. Mr. Popo looked like a genie with black skin and pure red lips, wore the blue clipped on his white headdress upon his head, wore red vest, orange belt, white baggy pants, and orange pointed orange. He smiled, pretty fired up. Kuririn walked next to Tenshinhan, and stared at them. Kami-sama, just how long will it be until you train us? Yamashua got up from the push-up and walked next to Kuririn as well. Yeah, we've already been here for 2 months, and yet you haven't taught us anything. We want to get stronger, like Goku. Yeah, we want to be strong just as Goku, said Sakura. Sasuke was next to Sakura, and demanded, I agree with Yamashua and Kuririn, although Sakura and I were only been here for past few days. I want you to train us. If you refuse to train them, then train me. Sasuke, growled Yamashua, how could you be selfish, asking Kami-sama like that? Shut your mouth, Yamashua, scowled Sasuke. He turned his back on Yamashua, and folded his arms as he mocked Yamashua, you couldn't even lay a finger on me, can you? Because I doubt, because you're useless anyways, so get lost. When Tenshinhan and Kuririn saw Yamashua got pissed off, so they got no choice but to hold Yamashua off from attacking Sasuke. Calm down, Yamashua, demanded Kuririn. Let me punch him. He deserved it. Please let me punch him. cried Yamchua, as he failed to attempt to get out of them. However, he could heard that Sasuke merely chuckled. Mock me, would you? I'm gonna get you, Sasuke. Calm down, Yamchua. He was joking with you, that's all, said Kuririn. Suddenly, Yamchua already calmed down, and sighed, alright, I'm calmed down. One day, he won't be lucky next time. Kuririn sighed, then looked at Kami, and begged, please give us the same special training that you gave Goku. Kami glared at Kuririn, and asked, Goku's special training, huh, and then he sighed, I taught Goku absolutely nothing, then he walked away from them. Sasuke growled, what? Yamchua still haven't calmed down, although. What does he mean? Scowled Yamchua while looking at Mr. Popo. Yajirobe was behind them, and sighed, if that's the case, there's no reason for us to come all the way at all. It's exactly the same as training down on the surface. Yamchua finally calmed down, and asked Mr. Popo. Tell us, just what kind of training did Goku do here? Okay. Kuririn took a step forward, and begged, we just want to get stronger. I agreed with Kuririn-san, Mr. Popo, said Sakura. Mr. Popo slowly closed his eyes, and replied, getting stronger, is knowing enemy, and knowing self. Once again, he slowly opened his eyes, and continued, do that, and what you should do come naturally. Kuririn confused, knowing the enemy, and knowing oneself. Sure enough, Yamchua hadn't still calmed down and scowled, enough of your smart aleck talk. I know better than anyone what my strength is. I don't need to be told. Sasuke put his hands in his pocket and chuckled, hey, I have to agree with Yamchua for once. I know what my strength is, so what's the point of telling me anyways? Sure about that? Asked Mr. Popo. You not know self. You not know weaknesses. What? Growled Sasuke. What? Are you calling me weak? Scowled Yamchua. He suddenly got too close to Mr. Popo, and continued, you want to try me? Mr. Popo pushed Yamchua's nose with just his index finger softly so that would enough to hurt Yamchua's nose. He walked away from them, and said, everyone, come. Finally, said Sasuke. Mr. Popo took everyone to old and mysterious mechanism inside the palace as the pendulum swung over a ring. What kind of room is this? Asked Sakura. Mr. Popo answered, past, present, future. He stared at the ritual circle, and said, all intersect here. You go on time journey now. Goku trained here too. Yamchua shocked, what? Goku did. Tenshinhan smirked while carried Chaozu in his arms. Intriguing. Let's go, then. Sasuke chuckled. Very interesting. I am in. Sakura nodded and smiled. Yeah, I am in. I want to get stronger. Yamchua nodded. Let's go. Yajirobe folded his arms, and sighed, I ain't going. He walked away from them, and sat next to the pillar, then picked up the chip. I'll wait for Yaz here. He went to eat the chips. Those want to go, enter circle, said Mr. Popo. Sasuke, Sakura and other Z fighter entered the circle. Mr. Popo said, close eyes slowly. Once they closed their eyes slowly, the pendulum swung over them, and zapped them into the blue aura. 1,000 years ago, old planet Vegeta, when they slowly opened their eyes, they were in completely different place, different world, and different land. They could see the ruined city, the red sky, the lighthouse, and everything was ruined. Where are we? Asked Sakura. They looked around them, but suddenly, the skeleton with the monkey tail on the butt fell down the ground, which startled everyone. A tail? Wondered Yamchua. It's a Saiyan, declared Kuririn. What? Shocked Tenshinhan. No shit, Sherlock, said Sasuke sarcastically. Sakura covered her mouth with her hands, and shocked, no way. They randomly wandered through the ruins, and looked around them curiosity. What happened here? Asked Yamchua while staring at the pile of skeleton's corpses. Sasuke kicked the skeleton's head as its head rolled over. These happened during some kind of battle, said Sasuke. Tenshinhan looked at the pile of Saiyan's corpse, and nodded, yeah, the people on this planet appear to like fighting something fierce, said Tenshinhan. He looked at Sasuke, and said, I'm raring to take them on. Sasuke chuckled, it's not matter. Their death is no concern of mine. If the Saiyan came at me, I will defeat them. Yamchua flexed his arm, and nodded, I'm ready to have a go at them. I'd like to try out my strength. Come on, let's go, said Sasuke. Somewhere inside the building, one of Saiyan's chuckled, all 6 of them together have a battle power of 1,323. The another Saiyan chuckled, none of them appear to be all that strong, huh? It'll kill some time. What do you say we rough them up? Suddenly, they disappeared in flash of greens. Anyways, back with Sasuke and others, they still wandering somewhere aimlessly. Kuririn looked around him, and sighed, there's not a single person around, is there? Finally, when they stopped walking, Yamchua said, maybe they're scared of us. While Chaozu went to check on weird black helmet on the ground through the broken window inside the building, Kuririn trembled. If this really is the Science planet, we definitely should not take them lightly. So this is the Science planet. It's not matter where planet I'm on, I could take on the Science anytime. I've trained since Raditz incident, bragged Sasuke. Sakura looked at Sasuke, and sighed, like Kuririn-san said, we definitely should not underestimate them, Sasuke. Chaozu continued to stare the helmet until the eyes glowed red, which scared Chaozu. Tenshinhan looked at Chaozu, and said, Chaozu, let's go. Chaozu glanced over his shoulder at Tenshinhan and nodded, right. But he still stared at the dark helmet as the eyes continued to glow red eyes. Suddenly, the helmet melted and turned into the Saiyan stared at Chaozu with the evil smile on his face. Before Chaozu could run away, the tall Saiyan named Brocco smashed through the building and grabbed Chaozu's head, which got Sasuke, Sakura, and Z Fighter's attention. Chaozu struggled to get free of the Saiyan and cried, Ten-san. Tenshinhan cried, Chaozu. Ten-san, help, cried Chaozu. Before Tenshinhan could form Kikoho, Tri-Beam, the shorty Saiyan named Pumpkin fired a blast from the tip of his index finger at Tenshinhan and Yamcha. They jumped to dodge the blast, however, Tenshinhan was caught in the blast. Sasuke, and others had to guard their eyes to prevent from blinding them. Ten-san, help, cried Chaozu, as he attempted to free from the grasp of Saiyan's hand. Suddenly, the Brocco's hand burned Chaozu's head as he collapsed. It looked like he died. Chaozu, cried Tenshinhan. Brocco laughed as he threw Chaozu below the ground. Kuririn, Tenshinhan, Yamcha, and Sakura ran to the broken ground, and cried in unison, Chaozu. Tenshinhan turned his head at the Saiyans and growled, why, you? Brocco chuckled, okay, who's going to face us next? Tenshinhan ran toward the Saiyan and shouted, I will. Kuririn tried to reach Tenshinhan, and cried, Tenshinhan, be careful. That idiot, said Sasuke. Tenshinhan went to chopped and kicked Brocco with his hand every time the tall Saiyan evaded and dodged. Brocco blocked Tenshinhan's leg, and dodged another of Tenshinhan's attacks. Finally, Brocco chopped Tenshinhan's mouth with his hand, and bleed came from Tenshinhan's mouth, which sent him to Pumpkin. Pumpkin uppercut punched in the back of Tenshinhan, which made him scream loudly. Pumpkin dodged the Tenshinhan's kick, vanished, then reappeared behind Tenshinhan. He put Tenshinhan in sleeper hold, and chuckled, okay, now it's your turn. He grabbed tightly upon Tenshinhan's head and attempted to burn his head. Yamcha cried, hold on, Tenshinhan. He made an upwards facing open palm, and placing the other hand around the adjacent arm for support. He shouted, Sukidan, spirit ball. He gathered surrounding energy into the open palm and shaped the energy into a yellow-orange sphere. Get out of here, Tenshinhan, demanded Yamcha. After forming Sukidan, he controlled and guided it by pointing the index and middle fingers toward the Saiyan as it went past above the Saiyan. Tenshinhan hit Pumpkin with his head, and escaped the hand of the Saiyan. Sukidan went back down to the Saiyan. Boom, I got them, gloated Yamcha while staring at the dust kicked up. No, you idiot, look again, idiot, said Sasuke. Once the dust became cleared, two Saiyans still stood and survived the blast. Pumpkin chuckled, that didn't hurt one bit. Yamcha was in deeply shocked after seeing two Saiyans survived. This time, all five of us will go at them, said Sasuke. He then made only one hand seal, tiger seal. Tenshinhan performed by gathering energy, forming a vaguely diamond shape window, with the hand by keeping the fingers on each hand together, overlapping the index finger on the one hand with the pinky of the other hand, and overlapping the thumbs as his hands. The object being focused on gets zoomed in on and visualized inside that diamond, then he shouted, Kikoho. Tri-beam, while releasing the large yellow beam from the hands of the Saiyan. Yamcha once again formed another Sukidan, then he shouted, Sukidan. Launch straight at the Saiyans. Kuririn and Sakura launched Kamehameha wave straight at the Saiyans as well. Sasuke compressed a large amount of chakra built up inside their body and changed it into a dragon head-shaped fireball. He then skillfully manipulated that great fire, and he shouted, Kaden, Goryuka no Jutsu. Fire release. Great dragon fire jutsu, and attacked their opponent. Boom. Sasuke chuckled, I don't think they could survive this. Even outside of the attack range, its power and reliability are stressed. The flames have a high temperature. I can create an upward movement of air currents which in turn can give rise to thunder clouds. It was said that if any master of this technique can fire off several flames in succession and anyone caught in the technique could be reduced to ashes. In other words, you're dead, Saiyans. They walked toward the hole and looked down the hole. It looks like we took care of them, said Yamcha. Kuririn shocked, those guys were incredible. Sakura cheered, we did it. Tenshinhan gritted his teeth and stared at Chaozu in sorrow. Chaozu, I have avenged you, thought Tenshinhan. Suddenly, everyone looked around them because they heard the noise. Suddenly, Brocco jumped out of the hole and disappeared. Tenshinhan shocked. He vanished. The Saiyan submerged the ground and grabbed Kuririn's leg down the ground. Yamcha, Tenshinhan and Sakura looked down the hole and cried, "Kuririn-san." Sasuke growled, "They survived my technique. Damn, these guys are invulnerable." Yamcha looked around him and wondered, where did they disappear to? They continued to look down the hole and searched for Kuririn under the ground. They kept called Kuririn's name, but they didn't receive the respond. "Let's go save him," said Yamcha. Then they ran to the hole. Suddenly, the green blast went out of the hole, and they saw Kuririn was sent flying toward the sky. Brocco clasped his hands and smashed into the bald midget's back. Kuririn screamed in pain. "Kuririn-san!" cried Yamcha, Tenshinhan, and Sakura. Kuririn was sent back toward the hole and fell down under the hole. Sasuke, Sakura and remaining Z fighter went to check down the hole. Yamcha growled, "Damn it!" Sakura gasped, "First, Chaozu-san, and now Kuririn-san. Damn it, we guess we will have to go all out," said Sasuke. "At this point, I'll let them have it, even if it costs my own life," said Tenshinhan. Suddenly, Brocco appeared in front of them, and chuckled, "That's it. That's more like it. Otherwise, it's no fun." Pumpkin appeared next to Tall Saiyan, and chuckled, "We've laid two of you to rest. Who's going to be third?" "What?" growled Yamcha. Before Yamcha could form Sukidan, Pumpkin interrupted, "Before you do that, let me show you to your graves," as the Saiyan vanished. Sasuke and others followed them very deeply below the ground and met the Saiyan down. Tenshinhan raised his both arms and said, "This is our last chance." Then he looked at Sasuke. "I heard you, ninja, can do the clone stuff, right?" Sasuke closed his eyes and chuckled, "I'd hate to copy Naruto's Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, but I guess I've no choice but to use it, huh?" He opened his eyes, which created Sharingan, then he made hand seal, and cried, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." The other three clone of Sasuke appeared in poof of smoke. They went on every side. "Shinshin no Ken. Multi-form," shouted Tenshinhan. Tenshinhan powered up, and splits into two, then those two split clones into four. They went on every corner. Yamcha puts his right hand out with the palm facing the sky, then with his left hand, he grabbed and held his right wrist, concentrating a massive amount of ki in his outstretched hand. He shouted, "An extra large Sukidan. Super Spirit Ball." Yamcha created a huge, yellow hovering ball as large as his entire body. Sakura cupped her hands, and were drawn to her side, me. The ki was concentrated into a single point between the cupped hands. She continued, me. Each Sasuke made several hand seals, then he cupped his hands, and drew to her side. Then, each Tenshinhan performed by gathering energy, forming a vaguely diamond shape window, with his hand by keeping the fingers on each hand together, overlapping the index finger on the one hand with the pinky of the other hand, and overlapping the thumbs. Yamcha controlled the energy ball with his index and middle finger, launching it at them. As soon as it was near to the Saiyan vanished and flew above trying to escape from it. However, the extra-large Sukidan followed them everywhere. Unfortunately, the Saiyans went to destroy the pillars so the ceiling would fallen down on them. The debris of ceiling coalesced and fell on the Saiyans. Finally, Yamcha fired the large energy ball down the ground to hit the Saiyans. Boom! Suddenly, Tenshinhan, Sakura, and Sasuke stopped charging their ki, because they thought Yamcha did it all. Tenshinhan merged all four together back into one body. Sasuke made a hand seal to dispel all of his clones. Yamcha got on his knees and panted because he used all of his energy up. Yamcha looked at the crater, and panted, "Those guys were awful. It's almost like they were undying monsters." "We did it," said Sakura. "I guess I am wrong about you, Yamcha. You might be useful after all," admitted Sasuke. Tenshinhan looked at the crater, and nodded, "We beat them." Suddenly, Pumpkin punched Tenshinhan's chest with his double fist from the underground, and sent him flying to the ceiling, then elbow smashed on his back while Brocco whipped his legs to kick Yamcha and sent him flying away, then kicked to his ribs. "What?" shocked Sasuke. "Tenshinhan-san. Yamcha-san," cried Sakura. Pumpkin shot the beam at Tenshinhan's face, while the Brocco pierced through Yamcha's body as the blood leaked out of his body. They had fallen down the ground and passed away there. Streaming down the tear from Sakura's eyes, she whispered to her softly, "First Chaozu-san, then Kuririn-san, and now Tenshinhan-san and Yamcha-san." "Damn it," growled Sasuke, then he glared at the Saiyans, then he ran toward the Saiyans, and cried, "Die, already, would you?" "Sasuke!" cried Sakura. Sasuke pulled his right fist, then punched the Brocco, but he missed because the tall Saiyan dodged it. Then, Brocco knees smashed into Sasuke's gut harder. Sasuke coughed up blood. The tall Saiyan uppercut punched Sasuke's jaws to send him flying. Both Saiyans opened their palm at Sasuke, and fired a blast to obliterate entire Sasuke's body. They looked at Sakura, who was on her knees and crying upon her friend's death. Pumpkin chuckled. Looks like you're the last one, huh? Say any last word before we kill you, suggested Brocco nicely. Sakura looked up and glared at the Saiyan. You killed them. How dare you kill them? Suddenly, she dashed toward the pumpkin, and tried to punch on his face, but he moved his neck to evade her punch. Sakura went past the Saiyan, then got on his knees, and turned her around to punch the Saiyan once again. But the shorty Saiyan vanished and reappeared behind Sakura, then shot the beam to pierce through Sakura's body. Sakura coughed blood before she passed away. Present when Sasuke, Sakura, Kuririn, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, and Chaozu opened their eyes, they saw Yajirobe stood staring at them, then they looked at Kami and Mr. Pop stood staring at them as well. Sasuke looked around him and shocked, what the? But how? Shocked Sakura. Yamcha touched his face, and shocked, I'm alive. Where are we? Asked Chaozu. Kuririn shocked and cheered, we're alive. We're saved. Course ya are. You've just been standing there the whole while, sighed Yajirobe. Your minds went on journey. Mr. Popo said, Kami-sama let you have valuable experience in mines. Yajirobe walked toward Kuririn and asked, how'd it go with the Saiyans? Suddenly, everyone felt so depressed over being wiped by two Saiyans. What's wrong? What are ya keeping quiet for? Asked Yajirobe. The Saiyans that you saw were still only half as strong as full-fledged ones. Kami explained, they don't even compare to the strength that Saiyans who are now heading for Earth possess. Everyone was in shock. You mean, they're even stronger? Asked Kuririn. Kami nodded, and then asked, how about it? Do you feel like running away now? They had been silent for a long time while thinking about it. Until Yamcha was the one to break the silence, and he chuckled, all right. Sasuke chuckled, I am not going to give up until I beat them. Tenshinhan clenched his fist, and chuckled, I'm keeping at it. Ten-san, cheered Chaozu. Kuririn smiled, I'm going at it, too. Yeah, I don't want to be useless, I want to be stronger, said Sakura. Kami and Mr. Popo looked at each other then looked at the group again. Yamcha smiled, I'm going to train here for the next 6 months to defeat the Saiyans. Kuririn and Sakura cheered, me too, as Yajirobe picked the chip bag up, and found out that the bag was empty so he threw bag out. Break Wasteland Gohan dodged most of Piccolo's thrust attack and ran away. What's that? Is that your defense? While he continued to thrust attack at Gohan. The young half-Saiyan was close to the small boulder, and dodged Piccolo's chop attack. Piccolo destroyed the small boulder. Once Gohan landed on the ground safely, Piccolo went behind him and kicked him to send him flying toward the ground. Concentrate harder. I'm just itching to kill you, demanded Piccolo. Evening Gohan charged and thrust attacked at Piccolo. Piccolo dodged and blocked most of Gohan's attack, but he was overwhelmed by Gohan. He punched Gohan in the gut, then punched on the top of his head. Do you want to die? Growled Piccolo. Then he punched Gohan's face to knock him down the ground very harder. Gohan got on his butt and rubbed his head, yow ow 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 ow. When Piccolo approached him, Gohan startled, wait. Don't forget that your opponent wants to kill you, said Piccolo. Gohan looked up at Piccolo and sighed, I know, Piccolo-san. Suddenly, he smirked upon Piccolo and jumped higher further away from Piccolo. He chuckled, Naya Naya. Piccolo jumped and hovered above Gohan. Is that all the jumping power you've got? Growled Piccolo. He clasped his hand, and knocked him to send him back to the ground. You're even softer than your father. That night, Gohan had a dream about when Raditz attacked his father and became totally enraged. He heard a voice saying, wake up, Kakarote, and responded to it as if he were Goku. Piccolo heard his screaming and flew to him. Gohan attacked Piccolo and seemed to be doing much than he did before by actually giving Piccolo a good fight. Piccolo continued to fight Gohan, and splits into two beings in order to better his chances. While one Piccolo fought, the other watched on. Piccolo saw that Gohan's tail had grown back, deduced that it only took 6 months to grow back. Piccolo turned around and saw the full moon, which had mysteriously came back. Piccolo looked around and saw that it was coming from Goku's original space pod. Meanwhile, Mutant Roshi, Bulma, and the pig named Oolong had a celebratory party after finding all the Dragon Balls. They looked on at the moon, since they, too, realized it's back. Gohan got a sucker punch in on Piccolo, causing the two beings to fuse together again. Piccolo trapped Gohan in an electricity web, but it caused Gohan to look directly at the moon, transforming him into a great ape. Piccolo evaded Gohan's maneuvers and eventually had to destroy the ancient space capsule itself. Gohan transformed back into a human and Piccolo removed his tail again. Meanwhile, Goku reached the tail end of Snake Way. When he got there, he found that there was nothing there. He looked up and saw a small planet high above Serpentine Road. He flew up to it and saw a house and a car. Just then, the gravity weighted him down and he crashed straight into the planet. He saw a fruit-bearing tree, and tried to climb it, but he fell off. He saw a monkey behind him and assumed that it was Kaio. He asked, Kaio-sama, to get him one of the fruit from the tree, but it fell so fast it went right through the ground. The monkey came down and started parading around, so Goku did the same, thinking it was training. Suddenly, the real Kaio appeared and introduced himself with one of his signature corny jokes. He then met the real Kaio, who had one condition, just like he did to Naruto, before he would train Goku, he must thought of a joke that would make him laugh. Goku gave it his all and came up with several weak puns that assumed Kaio immensely. Goku's new mentor told him, just like he told Naruto, that the Saiyans were even stronger than himself. Age 762, April 29th. Otherworld, Kaioshin Realm, Naruto, are you ready to go back to Kaio-sama's planet? Asked Minato. Naruto nodded and chuckled, I'm ready as ever. Then he looked at Kaioshin, and the big guy. Thank you for having me to train here, Kaioshin-sama. Anytime, Naruto-san, said Kaioshin. Kaioshin was short, purple-skinned with a white mohawk, dressed in a posh Kai outfit. The big guy with the red-skinned and white long hair who was Kaioshin's bodyguard and friend named Kibito. When we go to Earth, it means there would be terrible enemy there on the Earth. Do not forget. Please don't tell your friend if you happen to see me until I tell them, said Kaioshin. Naruto smiled, sure, will do. See you later. Minato looked at Kushina and asked, ready to go, Kushina? Yup, replied Kushina. Naruto and Kushina was holding onto Minato's arms. They disappeared into flash of yellow. Kaio's planet. Minato transported Naruto and Kushina to Kaio's small planet. When Naruto saw Goku who stood next to Kaio, he pointed at Goku, and asked, Goku-sensei. How the hell did you come out of hell? I thought you've fallen down the hell from the Serpentine Road. Goku rubbed his head sheepishly, and chuckled, oh, I met Dad, and he showed me how to get out of hell. Naruto blinked few times, and sighed, that explains a lot. He looked at Kaio, and asked, Kaio-sama, how many days until Science and Orochimaru arrives on Earth? About 158 days, replied Kaio. Whoa, times goes flies, shocked Naruto. Minato walked to Naruto and smiled, we will watch your training until the end, Naruto. Kushina smiled, so you can have spend a time whether you're on break, or eating. Naruto nodded, yeah. Goku looked at Minato and Kushina, then pointed at them and asked, who are you? Naruto looked between Goku and his parents, and sighed, sorry, I was rude. I forget to introduce you to each other. Father, mother, this is Goku-sensei. Goku-sensei, this is my parent, Minato and Kushina. Goku bowed before them, and smiled, it's nice to meet you. Minato chuckled, yeah, nice to meet you too. Goku rubbed his head, and chuckled, it was weird. I met my dad, then you met your parent on Otherworld. Yeah, Kaio smiled, Naruto, you're just on time. How about we get started right away? Then he looked around him and called, hey, Bubbles-kun. Suddenly, the monkey approached Kaio, and finally he was next to Kaio. Kaio looked at Goku and Naruto again. First off, you guys have to conquer the harsh gravity here. Catch Bubbles-kun here, if you can. For the time being, until you can move fast enough to do that, nothing else will matter, said Kaio. Goku stared at Bubbles, and sighed, all right. Naruto stared at Bubbles and sighed, I guess so. Okay, run away, Bubbles-kun, demanded Kaio. Bubbles ran away from Naruto and Goku. However, Goku and Naruto had a time to chase Bubbles because of 10 times gravity on the tiny planet. Wait up, said Goku, as he chased Bubbles. Naruto ran faster than Goku, but he's still slower than the monkey. Wait for me. Bubbles casually strolled around the planet. Goku ran very slower, and whined, damn. My body is really heavy. Naruto is ahead of me. At this rate. Then he got on his knees. Damn it. Alright, then. He pulled his orange GI down, and cried, watch this. Then he struggled to pull his undershirt out and threw it on the ground. He fell backward on his butt, and hard time to remove his shoes. I'm going to get you. I'm going to be first, Naruto. Kaio stared at Goku and smiled, ho. So he's already wearing super weighted gear, is he? Goku completely removed his shoes and wristband, then he put his orange GI back on. He chuckled, that makes me quite a bit lighter, now. He finally ran faster than he was before, and he went past Naruto, but the monkey still ran faster than him. What? Shocked Naruto. Bubbles glanced over his shoulder and got startled because Goku was getting there to him, so he ran away. Damn, Goku-sensei, if you want to play, then that's fine. Scowled Naruto. Then he removed his orange jumpsuit, his sandals, and his weapon pouch. He left his shirt on with swirl icon on his front. Kaio chuckled, oh, him too. Then he looked at Minato behind him, and asked, you put gravity seal on him, didn't you? Minato nodded, yeah, that's right. Bubbles glanced over his shoulder behind him once again. He saw that Naruto ran faster than Goku, so he got panicked and ran away faster. Goku shocked, you, too. Damn, I didn't know he had weight gear, too, as he continued to chase Bubbles around the planet. Naruto cried, hold it. He went close to Bubbles, and smiled, hold it. Hold it, hold it. He got closer and closer to Bubbles. All right, you're mine. Suddenly, Bubbles ran away from him even faster. Bubbles hopped and laughed at Naruto. It can't be. You're kidding me, right? Shocked Naruto. Goku caught up to Naruto and panted, he can run faster. Kaio walked to them and chuckled, what do you think? Goku looked at Kaio, and sighed, he sure is fast. I'm not sure we can catch him. I agree with Goku-sensei, said Naruto. Kaio smiled, if you can't, then go home right now. Suddenly, the stomach growled, and he stared at it. That's right, I ain't eaten anything since Dad feed me. He looked at Kaio and smiled, say, I hate to ask, but could you give me something to eat? Me, too. I want ramen, said Naruto. Kaio stared at them, and puzzled, well, okay. That's unusual, two hungry deceased people. Later outside Kaio's house, Goku piled up the bowl of meals, and ate faster while Naruto piled the bowl of ramen, and ate faster. When Goku finished the meal, he choked, so he had to drink the large gallon of water to stop choking. Once after Goku finished drinking the water, he grabbed another food from Kaio and ate faster. Naruto finished the bowl of ramen, then he grabbed another ramen, and finished it in like 10 seconds. Kaio felt that he didn't show any respect from Goku nor Naruto. Hey, how about showing a little restraint? Goku stared at Kaio while chewing the food, and smiled, I'm downing the donburi. Suddenly, Kaio laughed, downing the donburi. Suddenly, he stopped laughing and scowled, where's the joke there? Goku patted his stomach and blecked, I'm full, I'm full. The taste notwithstanding, at least my stomach is full. Naruto smiled at Kaio, and said, your ramen is not that great, but I am full anyways. Kaio sighed, I get the feeling that maybe these guys aren't giving me enough respect. With Minato and Kushina, Minato laughed, hey, look at that. Our Naruto is pig. I think Goku set bad example for his student. Kushina chuckled, like sensei, like student. With Goku and Naruto, Goku looked at Kaio, and asked, by the way, Kaio-sama, I'm surprised you don't find it dull staying on a planet this small. Oh, yeah, I've wondering for a while until now, realized Naruto. Kaio turned his back on Naruto and Goku, and chuckled, so young. If you set your mind to it, there are any number of fun things to do here. He checked on the grass with his spyglass next to Bubbles. Like counting how many blades of grass there are growing, gazing up at the sky, long distance peeing. Recently, I've been getting into a new hobby. He placed his hand on his red 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air hardtop. Going for drives. He pointed at Bubbles, and demanded, now, hurry up and catch Bubbles-kun. Otherwise, you guys will never be able to get me to teach you any martial arts. Goku nodded, right, I'll give it my all. Naruto gave Kaio a thumb up, and chuckled, I will try my best to catch Bubbles, Datboya. Alrighty, said Goku, as he and Naruto ran off. Kaio remembered something and said, oh, right. Goku and Naruto looked over their shoulder at Kaio. Kaio continued, put on those heavy-looking clothes and boots you guys took off earlier and then run after him. That will be more effective. But putting that stuff on makes it even harder to run. Whined Goku. Yeah, with this weight gear, we will never be able to catch Bubbles, agreed Naruto. Kaio smiled, let me tell you something. The planet that the Saiyans are from had about the same gravity as here. That's where they built up their bodies. Do you now understand part of the secret to the Saiyan's strength? But it's more than just that. Saiyans are born with a natural fighting sense. That's another thing that makes them so formidable. Goku smiled, hey, that's fine. I'm a Saiyan, too. Then he ran off to chase Bubbles, which shocked Kaio. Naruto nodded in agreement and looked at Kaio, don't worry. We are ninja. We fight all the time. Besides, if he's an alien that are from other planet, then I'm an alien that are from other planet as well. Then he ran off to chase Bubbles along with Goku. Break wasteland, earth on the cliff, Gohan kicked Piccolo several times, but Piccolo blocked his kicks. Then Piccolo rushed and rapidly punched at Gohan, but Gohan blocked all of punches. Gohan rushed at Piccolo, and gave Piccolo a hook right punch to the face. Piccolo stared down at Gohan, rubbed his cheek, and chuckled, nice thrust. Suddenly, he punched Gohan down, and yelled, don't slow down your attack. Gohan was sent down the river, but he couldn't swim, as he grabbed the boulder next to Piccolo. He looked up at Piccolo, and begged, Uncle, help me. Piccolo gave Gohan a hand, as the young half-Saiyan grabbed his hand and he smiled because he got help from Piccolo. Piccolo pulled Gohan up and scowled, don't be so needy, you dirty brat. He punched Gohan to beat him up, and kicked him to send him back to the river. Gohan luckily managed to grab one of land, and try to get some of oxygen. Piccolo sighed and mumbled to himself, sure enough, he only exhibits those dormant abilities of his on the night of the full moon. Night Gohan sat next to Piccolo in campfire, he was all beaten up and had a bruise on his every body. Yow ow ow ow. Piccolo stared at Gohan, and chuckled, looks like you at least cured yourself of being a crybaby over the last half year, huh? Gohan looked at Piccolo, and asked, say, Piccolo-san, you fought with father a long time ago, right? Piccolo folded his arms, and sighed, our fight is not yet over. If we're able to defeat the Saiyans, your father's turn comes next. Gohan chuckled, but father told me that the reincarnated Piccolo-san didn't seem to be the same terribly evil person he was before. I sort of think that, too. Mother and grandpa are still afraid of you, though. Piccolo looked at Gohan and scowled, stop talking nonsense and get to sleep, which scared Gohan a bit. He continued, tomorrow, we won't have the kind of gentle training we did today. Gohan trembled, all right. Then he fall asleep. Piccolo growled, damn him anyway. Age 762. May 9th Otherworld, Planet Kaio. Kaio looked at the food between the chopstick, and chuckled, these Xiaomai dumplings taste so good. He took a bite of Xiaomai and chewed it. That you'll say, they taste Xiao good, they taste Xiao good, I think you'll find. Then he suddenly laughed at one of his other own joke. That was great. That was great. He stopped laughing and looked around him, huh? Nobody heard that one. Naruto and Goku went around the planet a few times to chase and tried to catch him. Hold it, hold it, hold it, said Goku. Let me get you, said Naruto as he was closing onto Bubbles. Goku put his heavyweight gears back on. Same for Naruto, he put his jumpsuit back on a long while ago. Kaio chuckled, I've got gyoza by the gross, while held the bowl of rices. He was not pleased that nobody heard his joke, so he ate more rice trying to calm himself down. Anyways, while Goku and Naruto chased Bubbles around the planet, Naruto figured how to catch, so he got an idea. He put his both index and middle fingers crossed with each other, and smiled, all right. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He created 3 clones. One of clones went to left, other clones went to right, even other clone went to up, while real Naruto went to down, so he can trick Bubbles and catch him. When Bubbles went across the car, and he saw one of Naruto suddenly appeared in front of Bubbles, so he panicked and run away from him. Bubbles stepped on Kaio's head and continued running away. Naruto stepped on Kaio's head as well and chased after Bubbles. However, Naruto and Bubbles weren't only one. Goku stepped on Kaio's head, and went after Bubbles, too. These guys. Kaio scowled, they definitely don't have the slightest respect for me. Bubbles went around the trees at least 2 times, then finally left the tree. When Bubbles saw Banabana, so he picked it up. Goku noticed that Bubbles picked the Banabana, and he chuckled, now. Then he jumped over Bubbles, but he didn't notice Naruto jumped over Bubbles as well. Bubbles evaded and ran away. Naruto and Goku clashed their head each other. Yo ow ow ow. He realized that Naruto wasn't real, because Naruto dispelled in puff of smoke. Goku looked around him, and didn't see any Naruto, so he decided to continue to chase after Bubbles. When Bubbles finished eating the Banabana, he threw it on the ground, which caused Goku to slip and fell face first. However, when Bubbles hopped around and clapped his hand, he was too distracted by Goku. I'm here right behind you, cried Naruto. He was behind him and tried to catch him, but Bubbles was scared and run away. Again, he was distracted by one of Naruto. Once Bubbles glanced forward, he also saw another Naruto whose was too closing onto him. He panicked and ran away to the left. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong direction, and he could have choose the right, because Naruto was already on the left and caught Kaio. Naruto hopped excitedly, Datboya. I caught him, while held Bubbles in his arms. Kaio and Goku were in shock that Naruto caught him. He's as amazing as I thought. He's already overcome the gravity here, has he? He might be able to handle it. The Kaioken technique. But I wonder about this Goku. Will he be able to catch Bubbles? Anticipated Kaio. Chuckling, Goku walked toward Naruto and rubbed his head, I can't believe. You really beat me there. How did you figure it out how to catch him? Naruto tapped his finger on his head, and chuckled, brain. Luckily, Dad taught me everything about the strategy. He said it's important. That's how I caught him. I figured if I could trick the monkey with my Cage Bunshin no Jutsu, so that I might be able to catch him. Anyways, then he looked at Kaio. What am I going to do next? Rest, was all simple replied from Kaio. What? I don't want to rest. I want to get more training, demanded Naruto. Kaio chuckled. Rest is most important when training. You might want to watch Goku chasing bubbles. Naruto sighed. I suppose you're right. I could use some break, and watch Goku to catch bubbles. Then he looked at Goku and smiled. Catch him soon, Goku-sensei. Goku nodded. Right. He went to chase bubbles again. After few hours later, he finally managed to catch him. Impressed that Goku had overcome Kaio's planet 10-fold gravity, Kaio anticipated that Goku may be able to master the powerful Kaioken technique as well. Naruto congratulated Goku for catching bubbles very sooner. Kaio gave Goku and Naruto his next assignment, to whack his personal assistant, Gregory, a giant, incredibly fast grasshopper, over the head with massive weighted hammers. Goku and Naruto had been chasing after Gregory and trying to whack Gregory over the head. They had smashed a lot of ground around the planet. However, when Kaio was about to eat, he heard something. He went to check and found out that Goku destroyed the car's front window and Naruto actually destroyed Kaio's brand new car's roof. When Gregory came back to the car, Goku smashed upon Kaio's roof again, while Naruto smashed on the side window and destroyed. Kaio was really upset over his car being smashed. Minato, Kushina, and Bubbles tried to cheer him up. Bubbles watched over Naruto and Goku chasing Gregory past between two trees, and two trees fell. But, he noticed that Gregory went past over his head, then Goku and Naruto jumped over him. He hopped around because he was relieved that Goku and Naruto didn't whack Bubbles' head. However, Bubbles didn't realize that behind of his fur head was already shaved. Age 762. May 18th Break Wasteland, Earth Piccolo gave Gohan a hard backhand chop to the face, and Gohan fell down the ground. Get up, now, demanded Piccolo. He stomped on Gohan, but the young half-Saiyan dodged. He was in shock that Gohan was able to dodge Piccolo. He tried to punch Gohan again. Gohan dodged it again and chuckled at Piccolo. Piccolo smirked. Don't get too full of yourself, just because you managed to dodge me once or twice. You're still too soft. He opened his palm too close to Gohan's face and fired a ki blast at Gohan. Gohan knocked away from Piccolo, and fell down the cliff. However, he managed to hang his hand on the cliff. Then Piccolo crushed Gohan's hand with his foot. Help me, begged Gohan. Piccolo smirked at him. He continued to crush Gohan's hand with his foot and caused him to fall down the ground. Gohan managed to hang his hand on the branch, however unfortunately, the branch fell apart. Gohan fell down the ground. Piccolo looked down on Gohan, and yelled, come back up here on your own. He watched Gohan panting, and then he walked away from him, and folded his arms while sitting there. Gohan scaled up the cliff quickly, but he failed and fell down the ground again. He cried on the ground, but he got up and tried to get over the crying. He looked up, and chanted, squirrel, watermelon, seal gull, killfish, monster, cow, white shark, quince, apple, gorilla, lion. You say the next one, thought Piccolo. Kami's Lookout Kami, Mr. Popo and Chaozu watched Sasuke, Sakura, Tenshinha, Yamcha, Kuririn, and Yajirobe focused on training themselves. Both Ten-san and Yamcha-san have gotten even better, said Chaozu. Kami nodded in agreement. Tenshinha and Yamcha clashed their energy beam and struggled beam trying to overcome each other. When the struggled beam exploded, Yamcha and Tenshinha went in lock-up mode. Sasuke had to spar with Sakura to improve themselves so they could get better of themselves against the Saiyan when they get to Earth. Kuririn tried to attack Yajirobe, but the Fatso swordsman dodged Kuririn while eating the corn. Yajirobe, take this seriously. He was frustrated so he went to Yajirobe. But Yajirobe went under Kuririn's leg, and tripped Kuririn, then he bited Kuririn's butt. Eow ow 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 ow. Other world, Kaio's planet Goku and Naruto continued to chase Gregory around the planet several times. But when Kaio cried, tea time out, Gregory stopped running and shocked, Kaio-sama. It's time for supper, said Kaio. Goku and Naruto cheered, Yahoo! You're really something, shocked Gregory. Later Bubbles and Gregory was in shock because Goku piled up like 50 bowls of meals, while Naruto piled up like 20 bowls of ramen. Kaio watered the plant and looked over his shoulder at Goku and Naruto, and smiled, Goku, Naruto, how are you guys coming along? Phew, said Goku while chewing the rice, he's so fast. I've never seen anyone like this dude before. This dude, said Gregory unsatisfied. Naruto swallowed the ramen, and nodded, yeah. I agreed with him. I've never seen anyone other than my dad as faster before. Minato patted on Naruto's back, and smiled, don't worry. You might be able to surpass me, when you're fast enough someday. You might be faster than speed of light someday. Kaio chuckled, you guys may have conquered the gravity on this planet, but now the problem is your speed, as he went past Goku and Naruto to water other plant. The Saiyans that you guys have to fight are unbelievably strong. Goku slammed his hands on the table, and got up. Kaio-sama, do you know about the Saiyans? Yeah, what do you know about the Saiyans? Asked Naruto. Gregory stood up, and scowled, listen, you. Kaio-sama stands at the head of all the gods throughout the universe. Kaio looked at Gregory and chuckled, Gregory, it's all right. Then he looked at Goku, Son Goku, as I recall, you said something about yourself being a Saiyan too, right? Goku nodded, yeah, then he went back to the chair inside, but I don't know anything about Saiyans. Apparently, I came to Earth when I was a baby. Kaio smiled, so that's how it is, huh? In that case, let me tell you about the history of the Saiyans. Really? Excited Goku. Once Kaio nodded, Goku gave Kaio a chair so Kaio can sit and explain the entire story. Oh, my, thank you, appreciated Kaio, as he sat on the chair. I'll just plop down here. He explained once Goku sat down on the chair. Once upon a time, there were two races of people who lived on a world named Planet Vegeta. The Saiyans, who are your forebears, and the Sufruians. Saiyans and Sufruians? Asked Naruto. Kaio nodded. Planet Vegeta, like my own planet here, had an extremely strong gravity. As a result, the Sufruians, who controlled the larger half of Planet Vegeta, were a race whose bodies were only about half the size of the Saiyans. However, they had a remarkable comparatively advanced level of civilization. On the other hand, the Saiyans were a race that was very few in numbers, but their bodies were bigger, not to mention stronger, and they were an aggressive, primitive race. The tails the Saiyans had were their greatest distinguishing characteristic. They were all warrior-like people, as it were. At one point, these warriors bared their fangs, and started to overrun the Sufruians. The Sufruians greeted them with advanced weaponry of their own making. The Saiyans, who should have been utterly outnumbered, were incredibly strong, and gradually, they brought the Sufruians under their control. The decisive factor was the full moon, which only appeared on planet Vegeta once every 8 years. That's because when Saiyans see the full moon, they transform into monsters. For the Sufruians, this was their greatest threat, and they suffered the most damage this way. And so, little by little, as the Sufruian civilization pulled back, the Saiyans quickly increased their numbers. In time, they completely took over planet Vegeta. Then, the Saiyans took off into space, seeking to fight even more. However, since the Sufruians had been exterminated, further development of their civilization was slow to occur. They realized that even though they wanted to fight, they could not go out any farther into space. So the Saiyans joined forces with rich, advanced alien civilizations, and in exchange for furnishing planets to these aliens for use in developing vacation estates, they were able to obtain technology and money. For the battle-hungry Saiyans, this was killing two birds with one stone. The Saiyans' activities escalated swiftly, and they even started sending babies to many other worlds, as was your case. They had come up with long-term plans, whereby once the baby grew up, it would exterminate the planet's population. That's awfully overbearing, shocked Goku. In other words, Saiyans are awful. But planet Vegeta had its own kami. Kaio continued, he could not bear the Saiyans' evil deeds, and using his own powers, he pulled close some giant meteors, which then collided with planet Vegeta, causing it to explode. Including yourself, there were only 4 Saiyans that survived. Goku created an imagine of himself being in group together with another 3 Saiyans, and shook his head, no. I ain't the same as those guys. Yes, well, sighed Kaio, one has died, and the other 2 mightiest, most wicked Saiyans now heading to Earth are the only survivors. Wait a second, did you say that the meteor collided with planet Vegeta, causing it to explode? Asked Goku. Kaio nodded. Even Kaio-sama was allowed to lie, asked Goku. What? Puzzled Kaio. Goku-sensei, what do you mean? Asked Naruto. Dad told me something about planet Vegeta, too. Dad told me that someone, I forget his name, destroyed planet Vegeta about 20 years ago, replied Goku. He stood up and gritted his teeth in anger. I'm going to protect the Earth. Then he looked at the grasshopper. Gregory, we've got training. Help me out, please. Gregory smiled. My, these are the first respectful words I've heard out of you. Kaio, Minato, Kushina, and Naruto smiled as well. All right, I'll get you this time, declared Goku. Gregory chuckled. We'll see about that. Goku finished the bowl of rice, and looked at Naruto. Let's go, Naruto. Naruto nodded. Right. Age 762. May 20th Kami's lookout. Earth Kami looked at the group, and smiled. You have all far surpassed me. There is no longer anything that either I or Mr. Popo can teach you. From now until the time of battles arrives, you should go down to the surface and polish your techniques. I leave the future to you. The groups were smiled, including Sasuke. Sasuke hadn't been smile for a long time. Everyone nodded. Right. So, can I take off this heavy shirt, now? Asked Yajirobe. Do as you wish, said Kami. Yamcha looked at Tenshinha and smiled. Guys, let's go down to the surface and get to work. Kuririn looked at Tenshinha and smiled. We should still be able to power ourselves up, after all. Everyone, get better, cheered Chaozu. Yeah, agreed Sakura. Tenshinha smirked while Godin thought, Goku, I can't wait to see you again. Naruto, when you come back, I will show you that I'm no longer coward, thought Sasuke. Age 762, June 2nd Otherworld, Kaio's planet. When Goku learned of the evil heritage of the Saiyans, he flew off in a burst of light towards Gregory, focused only on hammering him together with Naruto. 2 weeks later, Goku succeeded, but Naruto didn't. It took Naruto for another 1 week to whack Gregory, at last. Naruto went to dance with Kaio and got excited. Kaio got all fired up and excited while Godin thought, there are still 154 days remaining. They just might be able to master it. The Kaioken technique. Kaioken, the technique that I could picture in my dreams, but was ultimately unable to perform myself. As well as that finishing move. Goku walked to Kaio and smiled. Naruto got him. Kaio-sama, like your promede. Kaio startled Goku and Naruto and excited. I know you're ready for this, but my training is harder than you can imagine. Can you handle it? Naruto nodded. Yeah, I will give it a shot. Goku smiled and nodded. I'll give it a try. Kaio widened his arms and said, you will be striving to be the best in the universe, the greatest in all the world, both physically and mentally. Got that. I understand, said Naruto. I got it, said Goku. Alright, before we start, care to have some tea? Asked Kaio as he walked away from them. Goku and Naruto fell on the ground while stick their feet up. Age 762, November 2nd Otherworld, Kaio's planet. Goku and Naruto stood in front of Kaio along with Minato and Kushina, and stared at Kaio. This will be the last day of your training, said Kaio. Your joke studies might have been a little lacking, but I think I've taught you the gist of it. Let's review everything up to now. Try it all out. You're first, Goku. Goku and Naruto nodded. He looked at the monkey and smiled. First up, Bubbles. The monkey walked next to Goku. Goku stared at Bubbles and smiled. Good luck, Goku-sensei, cheered Naruto. Kaio put the clock in his hand and said, ready. Start. In blink of an eyes, Goku caught Bubbles once the monkey ran away. Kaio shocked. 0.8 seconds. That's a new record. Then he looked at Naruto. Naruto, you're next. Bubbles walked toward Naruto and stood next to him. Goku stared at Naruto and smiled. Let's see how fast you're. Naruto nodded. Yeah, okay, ready, start. Once again, in blink of an eyes, Naruto caught Bubbles right away when the monkey ran away. 1.0 seconds. That's 2 seconds ahead of Goku. That's a new record, too. Shocked Kaio. Next up, Goku, Gregory. Right, said Gregory. Bubbles gave the sledgehammer to Goku. Ready, start, said Kaio. Suddenly, the blue sphere around Gregory and flew toward Goku faster. Here I go, cried Gregory. Once Gregory approached Goku closer, and Goku vanished, then reappeared behind Gregory. He looked around him, and confused, huh? Suddenly, Goku whacked upon Gregory's head lightly. 1.2 seconds, shocked Kaio. Okay, Naruto, you're next. I'm ready, said Naruto. Okay, ready, start, said Kaio. Once again, the blue sphere around Gregory, and flew toward Naruto faster. Naruto did the same just like Goku did once Gregory went to Naruto closer. He vanished and reappeared behind Gregory, then whacked upon Gregory's head lightly. Kaio shocked. 1.3 seconds. Goku smiled. Okay, what's next? Kaio smiled. All right. Last up, the Genki Dama check. Goku grinned. I've been waiting for this. Naruto looked at Goku and smiled. Good luck. I wish I could do that, but somehow, I couldn't seem to be able to master Genki Dama. Goku nodded. Yeah. Suddenly, he gathered small amount of energy from all chosen surrounding life forms and inanimate objects to conduct that energy. He finally put his hands up. He put his hands down, and the sparkle flowed onto him. He looked at his right hand, and then raised his fist and clenched its fist. All right, ready, Kaio-sama. Kaio nodded. Okay then, here goes. He raised his hand and levitated the giant brick above Kaio. Try locking onto this giant brick at super speed. Goku nodded. Kaio threw the brick past Goku, then went around the planet. Okay. Super speed. Suddenly, the brick went even faster past Goku. Once Goku saw the brick approaching him, he threw Genki Dama at the brick, and causing it to explode, which caused the wind over them. Goku looked at Kaio and smiled. Incredible. It's unbelievable. Shocked Minato. He destroyed the brick with no effort at all, shocked Kushina. Awesome. What an awesome power. Oden shocked Naruto. Kaio shocked. No trouble at all. He smiled at Goku. Nicely done, son Goku. I honestly didn't think you'd be able to handle the Genki Dama as well as this. Not even Naruto be able to handle it. Goku felt so proud of himself, and smiled. I really worked hard at it. Kaio nodded. I know it's tedious hearing this so many times, but the Genki Dama is a technique that takes all of the Genki energy from grass and trees, from people and animals, and even things in the atmosphere, and allocates a little bit from each of their energies, concentrates it, and shoots it. Even a Genki Dama from a planet as small as this had that kind of destructive force. The Earth, where you'll be fighting, is so much larger than this planet, it doesn't even compare. You can also harness the support of the sun's enormous energy. It will be a Genki Dama of incredible power. If you slip up, it wouldn't be too hard to destroy the very planet you're trying to protect. If you can help it, don't use it at all, although I will permit you to use it one time, if there's nothing else you can do. Got it. Goku nodded. Got it. I'm sure I can manage using just the Kaioken technique. Naruto nodded. Me, too. I can manage using the Kaioken technique too. Kaio smiled. That's it. The day of battle is nearly at hand. The Saiyans and Orochimaru will land on Earth tomorrow. Goku and Naruto nodded. Kaio yelled, oh, hell. What? What's wrong? Asked Goku. What's going on? Asked Naruto. Well, it's just that I didn't figure the time it would take for you to go down the Serpentine Road again into my calculations. Kaio-sama, you mean you can't send me whooshing back to the lower realm? Asked Goku. Kaio shook her head. No. We have to travel back down that road again. It took me all of half a year just to come here. Naruto looked at Minato, and cried, Minato. Bring us back to check-in station, please. It's no use. I accidentally brought Hiraishin no Jutsu here from check-in station because I thought you were gonna dead for sure, said Minato. What? Are you kidding me? Do you know how it took me all of 3 months just to come here? Panicked Naruto. Well, as you are now, you can get there in 2 days, said Kaio. I'll tell Earth's Kami to come and pick you guys up. That will still be a day too late, shocked Goku. Everyone will be killed. What are we gonna do? I can't afford to let everyone killed, said Naruto. Stop your griping. Even I make mistakes sometimes, scowled Kaio. Now, hurry and tell your friends on Earth to use those Dragon Ball things to have you guys back to life. Goku looked around him and asked, tell them. But how? Asked Naruto. Kaio turned his back on Goku, and yelled, Goku. Put one of your hands on my back, and speak to them inside your mind. That will get through to them. Oh really? Asked both Goku and Naruto. Goku walked toward Kaio and placed his hand on Kaio's back. Like this. Hurry and tell them, demanded Kaio. Oh old timer. It's Goku. Can you hear me? Hey, old timer, contacted Goku telepathically. At the Kame house, Roshi was inside the bathroom and read the porn magazines. He chuckled and thought, nice. What a hot gal. Suddenly, he heard the voice inside his head. He looked around him and shocked, gee Goku. Goku, is that you? Where are you? Where are you? Goku was so happy and smiled, he heard me. Old timer, I'm still in the next world. I'm talking to you with my minds from here. The next world? Asked Roshi. Have you gotten all the Dragon Balls together? Asked Goku. Why yeah, we've had them together for a while now, just to save Naruto and you. We all searched for them like mad. Thanks. So, I hate to ask, but could you summon Shenlong, and get us brought back to life? The Saiyans are going to be on Earth tomorrow. What? Shocked Roshi. Tomorrow, already. That's a whole month sooner than we thought. Hurry, old timer. We're going to be a little late, but I promise you, we'll manage something. Kaio groaned, hey, Goku. You're hurting me. He was on the ground because Goku pushed him too hard on the ground. Goku rubbed his head sheepishly, and chuckled, I'm sorry. Roshi nodded, all right, you got it. By the way, Goku, how did it go? I heard Naruto and you were training there in the next world. How did that turn out? Goku nodded, fantastic. That's a relief to hear. Suddenly, Roshi opened the door and cried, hey. Get the Dragon Balls ready, now. While his pants was down the legs and the porn magazine was on the floor which got Bulma attention. Otherworld Kaio's planet. That was amazing, Kaio-sama, smiled Naruto. Goku nodded, yeah, it was amazing. I got right through to him. Kaio chuckled, well, sure you did. I can finally come back to life, excited Goku. And I can finally see Sakura-chan, exclaimed Naruto. Kaio smiled. All right, now, while you're waiting to be brought back to life, let me do something about those heavy, tattered clothes of yours. Goku smiled. Really? Kaio's antenna pointed at Goku, and suddenly, Goku's clothes went back to normal. Goku cheered. Awesome. They've gotten lighter. Kaio smiled. They're not just lighter, they're made from a wonderfully hard-wearing fabric. It will even deflect your more minor attacks. Thank you, Kaio-sama, said Goku. Then he looked at his clothes, and pointed at his symbol and looked at Kaio again. Terrific. The turtle mark is still in its place. I was worried that my clothes would look ugly, like yours, Kaio-sama. Kaio felt offended and sighed. Well, excuse me. Awesome. Can you made my clothes like Goku-sensei's? Asked Naruto. Kaio pointed his antenna at Naruto, and suddenly, Naruto's tattered orange jumpsuit changed to clean orange GI and blue undershirt similar to Goku's. Awesome. Now I can't wait to get back to life. Goku nodded. I hope they bring me back to life soon. Then he turned his back on Kaio. Kaio smiled. The mark on your back is the most stylish point on the outfit, right? Goku glanced over shoulder, and smiled. Yeah. Minato walked along with Kushina, and smiled at Naruto. Before you leave, I want to tell you something. You learned various of Rasengan, right? Naruto nodded. Goku taught you how to perform Kamehameha wave, right? Naruto nodded again. Okay, if you combine your Rasengan with Kamehameha, you might be able to win this way. Also, one of Rasengan you mustn't use it often. You may use only Rasenshuriken once if you're in great danger or others. However, if you use Rasenshuriken often, you will never be able to use your arms again. Naruto nodded. Right. Kushina hugged and streaming down from her tears, I will miss you. It's been long since we first met. She looked in Naruto's eyes and smiled. Remember that the Kyuubi will be reassembled not for another year. When he reassembled, please seal and draw him back into you again. Okay. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I will. Break Wasteland. Earth Piccolo fired a ki blast from two of his hands at Gohan every time he dodged Piccolo's blast. What's wrong with you? Scowled Piccolo. You can't defeat your enemy by just dodging him. He continued to fire a ki blast at Gohan. Gohan dodged and ran away from Piccolo's ki blast. Then suddenly, he went straight at Piccolo as he dodged every single of his blast. Then he jumped and went at Piccolo, but as soon as he closed onto him, Piccolo fired eye laser and electrified Gohan. Gohan fell down the ground, and didn't get up. He shocked. Oh, no. I must have inadvertently hit him a little too hard. But he was relieved with a sigh that Gohan's still alive and got up. That's not fair. You said you wouldn't use your eyes, whined Gohan. Don't be presumptuous. You think that sort of promise is valid when you're fighting, scowled Piccolo. Gohan frowned. But Piccolo-san, you're not the enemy. At the Kame house, Master Roshi, Bulma, Oolong, and the flying cat named Puar released the dragon. The sky suddenly became dark. Piccolo and Gohan gazed up at the sudden darkness sky. Gohan shocked. It's the middle of the day, yet suddenly it's gotten dark. Piccolo growled while in thought. Son Goku and Uzumaki Naruto are about to come back to life, huh? Then he shocked in thought, which would mean that the Saiyans are coming sooner than we expected. Bakal to Kame house, Oolong wondered out loud if they can't wish the Saiyans to defeat. Shenlong answered that he would be unable to fulfill such a wish, since the Saiyan's power was greater than that of Kami, his creator. So instead, they wished Goku and Naruto back to life. Otherworld, Kaio's planet suddenly, the halo above Goku and Naruto's head disappeared. Goku and Naruto looked up above his head. All right, said Kaio. The ring over your head has vanished. You're alive again. Goku cheered. They did it. Looks like we are brought back to life, said Naruto. Move quickly, demanded Kaio. Goku and Naruto nodded. Right. Remember, your foes are villains who are more powerful than you can imagine, said Kaio. They won't allow you to be careless for even an instant. Gregory smiled. You can't go thinking you can always be brought back to life again. Goku smiled. That's okay. You can only be brought back to life with the Dragon Balls once. I'm going to go at them as hard as I can. Watch me. Naruto grinned and nodded. Yeah. Me, too. I'm going to beat them up so bad. Goku turned his body while looked over his shoulder at Kaio and gave him thumb up. Thanks for everything, Kaio-sama. If I die, I'll come see you again. Then he looked at the monkey, Bubbles. Gregory, take care, said Gregory goodbye. Naruto looked at Minato and Kushina and smiled. Dad. Mom, I will miss you. I love you. Minato nodded. I love you, too. I miss you, too. Take care. Kushina began to cry and sniffed. I love you, too. I will miss you, too. Please don't die again. Naruto nodded and smiled. Maybe. Goku looked at Naruto, and smiled, let's go. Naruto and Goku ran as they farewell to them, while Kaio and others watched them leaving, but suddenly, Naruto and Goku came back and ran past Kaio then jumped towards Serpentine Road. Goku and Naruto yelled, bye. Once Goku and Naruto landed on the Serpentine Road, they ran on way to check-in station. Kaio shocked, that guys must have bottomless strength. And yet, Goku's heart is clearer than crystal. To think that there's a guy like that in the lower realm. Minato chuckled, they have become even stronger than you, haven't they, Kaio-sama? Kaio chuckled, still, their sense of humor were lacking somewhat. Next time they come here, I'll train them more on that. Serpentine Road. Goku and Naruto ran faster than before. They hopped on the road with all of their excitement leaked out. Woo, Naruto, can you believe it? My body feels as light as downy fluffy. So light, said Goku. Naruto nodded, yeah, not to mention we ran faster right now. Then they hopped over to the Serpentine Road. Goku widened his eyes, and said, that's right. This ain't any time to be impressed. We've got to hurry. Naruto nodded, right. Suddenly, Goku and Naruto flew through the road even faster than before. Age 762, November 3, 11:43 a.m. Metro East, Earth. The civilian casually passed between each other and strolled straight in the city. The little girl held her dad's hand, and looked up at him. Papa, I'm hungry. Her dad looked at his digital clock and it said, 11:43, and sighed, is it that late already? Suddenly, the little girl and his dad looked up. 3 spacepods went crashed through the tall building, and straight at the street. The moment 3 spacepods crashed the street, the truck fell over, and one of tall building's window went shattered. The people flee in fear away from the building falling. The civilians talked about the event, how 3 spacepods crashed into the city, Metro East. They stared at them until all of Spacepod's doors opened. Vegeta was the first one to step out of the round capsule. Other was Orochimaru, who got out of the round capsule with the snake icon drawn on it. Next, finally Nappa got out of his own space pod. The civilians had reaction to them such as, it's person. There's a person coming out of it. What the? Vegeta and Nappa were not pleased with the Earthling still alive. Rest of Z fighters, or preferred Team Z, sensed Vegeta, Nappa, and Orochimaru such as Piccolo, Gohan, Tenshinhan, Chaozu, Yamcha, Kuririn, Yajirobe, Sasuke, and Sakura. Vegeta, Nappa, and Orochimaru leviated then landed on the street and staring at the Earthlings. They smirked and stared at the Earthlings around them. What do those guys want? One of Earthlings wondered. Who are they? Asked the other Earthling. Vegeta stared at them, and chuckled, Earth, they called it, right? Not a bad planet, is it? Orochimaru chuckled, although this planet resembled from where I'm from. Nappa folded his arms and stared at the Earthlings. Shall we say hello to those annoying, peeping little chicks? Asked Nappa. Vegeta chuckled, not too hard, now. Once Nappa pointed his index and middle finger up. Boom. With Tenshinhan and Chaozu could see the explode very far, far away from them, even the strong wind went over them. Tenshinhan had to guard his eyes so the dust won't hurt his eyes. What was that? Shocked Tenshinhan. What the hell did they do? Yamcha could see the exploded somewhere far from him, even the strong went over him as well. What the? Shocked Yamcha while blocking his eyes from the dust. With Kuririn grabbed the huge boulder so he could prevent the strong wind to knock him away. It's unheard of. With Sasuke and Sakura, Sasuke had to block his eyes so the explode won't blind him. What the? What's the hell going on? Shocked Sasuke. They're finally here, shocked Sakura. She had to hold onto the tree so she won't knocked away. Destroyed Metro East. Nappa had reduced the city to rubble, as well as wiping all the people around the city. The dust kicked up because of Nappa's volcano explosions causes. Vegeta, Orochimaru, and he were leviating so they won't get caught in the explosion. He laughed. Perhaps that greeting was a bit too polite. Vegeta folded his arms and sighed, leave it at that, Nappa. If we go at it too excessively, we won't be able to sell this planet for a high price. Oh, yeah, chuckled Nappa. Now that you mention it, we were going to look for those whatever they're called balls, which can grant us any wish, huh? Dragon balls, chuckled Orochimaru. How about we first find the one who killed Raditz, and ask him about the Dragon Balls? Afterward, we can find Sasuke. How about it? Nappa stared at Orochimaru, and nodded, sure. Vegeta stared at Nappa and sighed, now, supposing that one of those Dragon Ball things was in the area, our wish for eternal life would have been wiped out, thanks to that senseless greeting of yours. Nappa frowned, sorry about that. It completely slipped my mind. Well, what's done is done. First thing we need to do is find the guy who has the highest battle power. He'll be the one who killed Raditz. Either him, or Kakaro's son, said Vegeta, then he pushed the button on his scouter. Nappa pushed the button on his scouter, and shocked, that's strange. I'm picking up more than just 1 or 2 readings that have a battle power higher than 1000. He looked around him, and continued, what are they doing on this planet? Orochimaru sighed, don't panic. There's still no match for us. In any case, find the one who has the highest battle power. Vegeta nodded, Orochimaru's right. There's still no match for us, after all. All we need is to find the one who has the highest battle power. Nappa obeyed Vegeta's orders, and scanned through the earth with his scouter. I found him. There are 2 fairly high battle powers together. Vegeta chuckled, all right, Nappa, let's go have some fun. Vegeta, Orochimaru, and Nappa flew away toward the highest battle power on this planet. Came House Bulma, Puar, Oolong, Turtle, and Roshi watched the television news. Currently, the cause of the large-scale earthquake is a complete mystery. All communications with Metro East, which is thought to have been the epicenter of this earthquake, have been cut off, and the safety of its residents is in doubt. Roshi gritted his teeth, and trembled, they're finally here, are they? Bulma put the scouter on her ear, and got up. Let's go help them out. With this, I can tell where they are. I'm going over my dead body, said Oolong. I'm going. I'm sure Yamcha-sama will be going, too, said Puar. Roshi shook his head, and sighed, no, let's not. There's too great a difference in our levels. Even if I did go, I'd just be in the way. All we can do is pray for their victory from here. Bulma sighed, why you're probably right. Oolong nodded, right. Yamcha-sama, don't die, worried Puar. Sun-kun, Naruto-kun, get here soon. Prayed Bulma, get here soon. Other world, Serpentine Road. Goku and Naruto hopped on the road even faster. Hold out until I get there, everyone, thought Goku. Sakura-chan, Sasuke, please stay alive until I get there, thought Naruto. With Vegeta, Nappa, and Orochimaru. While Vegeta, Orochimaru, and Nappa were flying through the air, Nappa chuckled, this is great. This planet, Earth, here has fairly little gravity, and we can move WTIH no difficulty at all. Orochimaru chuckled, indeed, this planet, Earth has similar gravity to planet elements where I come from. With Yamcha, they're moving at incredible speed, shocked Yamcha. With Kuririn he put his undershirt on the ground, and glanced on his side. They're heading straight for that area where those 2 other large ki are. Is that where Tenshinhan-san and them are? Or is it where Piccolo and Goku's son are? Paprika Wasteland, they're coming. They intend to come here, said Piccolo. Gohan made a serious face, and nodded, right. With Tenshinhan and Chaozu. While Tenshinhan and Chaozu were flying on way to 2 large ki, Tenshinhan glanced over his shoulder at his midget friend. Chaozu, you stay here. Chaozu frowned, no way. I'm coming, too. I trained hard, and I'm coming. Together with you, Ten-san. With Sasuke and Sakura. While Sasuke and Sakura were flying on way to 2 large ki, Sakura asked, they're heading for 2 large ki. I wonder who they're heading for. They must be Piccolo and Gohan, said Sasuke. 12:20 a.m. Paprika Wasteland. The animals and birds sensed a presence out of the ordinary, and had begun leaving the area. Piccolo took his weighted gears off, and said, there's nothing to be afraid of. We've become so strong, it's comparable to what we were a year ago. Gohan looked up at Piccolo, and nodded, all right. Piccolo looked around him and shocked, something is coming this way from that direction, too. And someone is coming from over there, as well. Gohan looked around him, and shocked, weren't there only going to be 2 Saiyans? Piccolo saw someone jump down the ground next to Piccolo and Gohan. A Saiyan, wondered Gohan. The bald midget gave Piccolo a half-smiled, hey, long time no see, Piccolo. Oh, it's you, huh? What business do you have here? Did you come to get in our way? Joked Piccolo. Kuririn chuckled, don't talk like that. I've improved a little, myself. So it appears. Looks like there are some other fools who mean to come here, wondered Piccolo. Yeah, I'm sure everyone is coming. I guess I was just the closest one, replied Kuririn. Suddenly, the other 2 had arrived next to Kuririn as well, in which startled Gohan. Oh, don't scare me like that, Sasuke, Sakura, chuckled Kuririn. Long time no see, Kuririn-san, greeted Sakura. What are you doing here, Kuririn? Are you here to get killed, Kuririn, joked Sasuke. Kuririn chuckled, haha, very funny. I'm here to fight the Saiyans too. Sasuke folded his arms, and chuckled, brace yourself. None of you will defeat the Saiyan, because it will be me. Gohan blinked several times and widened his eyes at them. I remember. You're 3 of the people that was at the turtle hermit Sama's place. Sakura smiled. Gohan-kun, you have grown up a bit, haven't you? Kuririn smiled. Yeah, Kuririn. You've beefed up quite a bit, haven't you? You're just like Goku was, when he was a kid. Gohan ran to Kuririn and smiled. You're small, but strong, right? Father said that about you a lot. Father said that about you a lot. Then he looked from Sakura to Sasuke to Kuririn. You're going to fight alongside us, right? Sakura nodded. Yeah, we're going to fight the Saiyans, too. Kuririn heard something what Gohan said to him. He didn't have to include that small part. That jerk he grows a little bit taller, and thinks he's so big, deadpanned Kuririn. He whispered, still, it must have been rough, having Piccolo train you like this, right? Gohan nodded and smiled, But Piccolo-san is a much better person than I thought. Piccolo chuckled, enough chit-chat. They're here. Gohan, Kuririn, Sasuke, and Sakura looked up in shock to see 3 persons hovered above them. Nappa chuckled, there they are, there they are. There's 3 more of them now, making 5 tough guys. Vegeta chuckled, it appears that they know all about us. Orochimaru saw Sasuke who looked up at them. He was getting excited and laughed, perfect time. We don't have to waste our time to search for Sasuke. He's here after all. Kuririn shocked, those are the Saiyans, huh? Indeed, I can sense an incredible ki from them. And were there supposed to be only 2 Saiyans? Danger truly is closing in on us, while Sakura and Gohan were trembled. Sasuke gritted his teeth and stared at Orochimaru. Why do I have a feeling that I've met him somewhere before, thought Sasuke. Vegeta, Orochimaru, and Nappa leisurely descended and landed on the ground. Vegeta folded his arms, and chuckled, it looks as though you've been waiting anxiously for us. You've got that right, said Piccolo. Just for the record, let me ask you, what the hell have you come here for? Vegeta narrowed his eyes, and thought, that voice, then he smirked, so, you're the one who defeated Raditz, right? Voice, confused Piccolo. Vegeta chuckled, didn't Raditz tell you? Then he tapped his finger on his scouter. This acts as a communicator, too. Nappa recognized Piccolo right away, and he looked at Vegeta. He's a Namekian, he said. So it would seem. I guess it's not that surprising that Raditz was done in, chuckled Vegeta. Piccolo shocked, Namekian. Kuririn looked up at Piccolo, and shocked, Piccolo. Why you're an alien, too. That would explain. Is that right, Piccolo-san? Asked Gohan. Sakura looked up at Piccolo, and shocked, really? Vegeta chuckled, I get it. In addition to having an unusually high battle power, I've heard that Namekians have certain remarkable abilities. I'm a Namekian, Piccolo thought in shocked. Vegeta pointed at Piccolo and chuckled, I've also heard that there are some of them that can perform magician-like feats. You must be the one who created these Dragon Ball things. Why you even know about the Dragon Balls, shocked Kuririn. Nappa chuckled, the Dragon Balls are our first objective. Hand them over to us without making any trouble. Even if you are Namekian, by yourself, you're no more than a housefly to us. Piccolo chuckled, thanks. Because of you, I'm more or less starting to understand my heritage. But, unfortunately for you, I'm not the one who created the Dragon Balls. I'm the kind that specializes in fighting, you see, as he went into his battle stance. Come try me, and we'll see whether or not I'm a housefly. Suddenly, Piccolo, and others, as well as Vegeta, and others noticed the news helicopter approached above them. Unfortunately for them, Nappa suddenly threw the ki blast at one of helicopter, and shouted, pipe down. And destroyed the helicopter which shocked Gohan, Kuririn, and Sakura. The helicopter left the battlefield in fear. Kuririn, Gohan, Sasuke, and Sakura suddenly switched into their battle stance. It looks like you don't have any intention of telling us about the Dragon Balls, Nappa chuckled, fine with me. You'll talk, even if I have to force it out of you. Then he pushed the button on his scouter, and scanned on Gohan. 981, then he looked at Piccolo, 1220, then he looked at Kuririn, 1083, then he looked at Sakura, 1040, and finally, he looked at Sasuke, 1200. Miserable fools. You plan on facing us with that kind of battle power. Orochimaru chuckled, Nappa, take off your scouter. Sasuke widened his eyes in shocked, that voice. What's Orochimaru doing here? Sakura was in shocked as well, why is he with the Saiyan? Nappa stared at Orochimaru and confused, what? Vegeta took his scouter off, and glanced at Nappa. He's right, Nappa. These guys can alter their battle powers in response to the battle. Then he dropped the scouter, and chuckled, we can't rely on these values anymore. Nappa took his scouter off, and chuckled, now that you mention it, that's right. That idiotic wimp Raditz got done in because he got overconfident in his scouter's figures, after all. And he dropped the scouter. That wimp Raditz, confused Piccolo. Kuririn looked up at Piccolo, and replied, our Raditz was that Saiyan that you and Goku barely managed to defeat together, right? Then he glanced at Vegeta and others and chuckled, "Wimp, huh? I know. What do you say we have ourselves a look at what they are capable of?" asked Vegeta. Then he looked at Nappa. "Hey, Nappa, there are still 8 Saibamen left, right? Bring them out." Nappa chuckled. "Vegeta, you sure do like having a good time, huh?" Sasuke puzzled. Saibamen. Sakura confused. What's that? Nappa took the capsule and looked at it. 8 of them, all right, said Nappa. Vegeta looked at Piccolo and others, and smirked. "Once you see the Saibamen, I imagine you'll want to tell us about the Dragon Balls." Nappa made 8 hole on the soiled ground. "This soil will grow some fine Saibamen." Then he put the 8 beans inside the hole, and planted the green beans inside the soil. What is that? Wondered Kuririn. What are they doing by planting them? Wondered Sakura. Nappa threw the capsule out, and chuckled, "All right." Suddenly, small 8 green alien humanoid came out of the holes, which shocked Piccolo and others. "Eek. Those guys creep me out," said Sakura. Kuririn slowly nodded, and chuckled nervously. I agreed with you, Sakura-san. Those guys are creepy." While Saibamen laughed upon their reaction. Suddenly, Saibamen arranged around Piccolo and others, and went to destroy every big rocks. These guys are pretty good," shocked Kuririn. Even they are that small, yet they managed to destroy the rocks," shocked Sasuke. "So it would appear," said Piccolo. Vegeta looked at the small green aliens, and ordered, "Those 5 are your targets. Do them some harm, Saibamen." Kuririn noticed that Gohan was anxious. "Gohan, don't take your eyes off of theirs," demanded Kuririn. Sakura nodded. "I agreed. They might kill you in blink of an eye if you took your eyes off of them. Be careful, Gohan-kun." Gohan nodded. "All right." Piccolo sighed. "There's nothing to be afraid of." Gohan nodded. "Right." Suddenly, the Saibamen charged at them, and vanished along with them except Gohan. The young half-Saiyan was so lost and he looked around them. First, Piccolo elbow smashed on one of Saibamen, but it blocked his attack, then attempted to punch onto Piccolo's face, but he blocked one of its strike. Kuririn tested his strength against one of other Saibamen in lock mode. Sasuke threw a punch at Saibamen, but it blocked his punch with his arms. The Saibamen kicked Sasuke on the ribs, but the young Avenger blocked it with his arms. Sakura went behind Saibamen, and attempted to uppercut punched onto the back of Saibamen, but it disappeared and get behind Sakura. It tried to do the same like Sakura did, but once again Sakura did the same thing. Gohan was in shock that he couldn't see what they did. They continued to move at tremendous higher speed from place to place. Each Z fighter except Sakura faced 2 Saibamen. Kuririn was with 2 Saibamen, Piccolo was with other 2 Saibamen, Sasuke was with them, but Sakura was with only 1 Saibaman. Someone was missing. Suddenly, one of Saibamen appeared behind Gohan, and laughed at Gohan. He was so anxious and gradually turned his head to look behind him. The Saibaman caught Gohan off guards, and knocked him away. Piccolo had to stop Gohan from knocking away, and looked at him. "Gohan, don't lose your nerve," demanded Piccolo. Gohan nodded. "All right." Piccolo put him down on his feet. Then Gohan got in his battle stance as Saibaman chuckled at them. Kuririn smirked. "This time, shall we take the fight to them?" "Yeah, they're not that bad at all," chuckled Sasuke. Suddenly the voice cried, "Kuririn! Sasuke! Sakura! Kuririn, Sasuke, Sakura, Piccolo, Vegeta, Nappa, Orochimaru, and Saibamen looked up and it was Tenshinhan and Chaozu who descended to the ground. "Tenshinhan-san! Chaozu-san!" smiled Sakura happily. Kuririn smiled happily. "Tenshinhan." Then he looked at the white-paled midget. "Chaozu, you're here, too." Chaozu replied with nodded. Tenshinhan looked at Vegeta, Nappa, Orochimaru, and Saibamen. "Weren't there only supposed to be 2 Saiyans?" asked Tenshinhan. Sasuke chuckled. "Well, a lot has happened. It looks like there are more of them." Tenshinhan sighed. "However many there are, it's all the same." Then he looked behind Piccolo, and asked, "Is that him? Goku's son?" Kuririn nodded. "Yeah, he appears to have been trained quite a bit by Piccolo." Tenshinhan nodded. "He's got a fine look to him." "What shrimps?" chuckled Nappa. "Saibamen, make them all suffer." Before Saibamen could make a move, the other voice cried, "Just a minute." Suddenly, Yamcha appeared next to Gohan. He looked at Saibamen, and smiled. "Kuririn, sorry I'm late." Kuririn and Sakura smiled. "Yamcha-san. I guess we're all here, except for Goku and whoever Naruto guy is," said Yamcha. Kuririn nodded. "Yeah." Orochimaru counted them. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Huh. Interesting. The exact number of Saibamen that we have here, said Vegeta. Nappa looked at Vegeta and Orochimaru, and chuckled. "Yes, it is. How about you all take turns fighting each one of our soldiers? offered Vegeta. It will be a game. A game. Ridiculous, growled Piccolo. Stop beating around the bush and let's settle this right here and now. Besides, we don't have time to play around, barked Sasuke. Kuririn waved Piccolo and Sasuke off. Now, where's the harm? It works out better for our side to do it this way. Goku and Naruto hasn't arrived yet, after all. Sakura nodded, agreed. We need to buy some time until they arrived. Tenshinhan walked forward and smiled, very well. I'll lead off. Now, come and get it, as he clashed his fists each other. Nappa chuckled. He's going to be bowled over once he realizes how strong the Saibamen are. So, which one of you is going to face me? Asked Tenshinhan. Vegeta looked at Saibamen that was next to him. You go first. Hammer him with all you've got. Understood, ordered Vegeta. Saibamen only replied with his head nod. Then Saibamen took a step forward. T10-san, good luck, encouraged Chaozu. Suddenly, the other news helicopters approached above them again. We're going to start reporting from above the scene, said the reporter next to cameraman inside one of helicopters. When the cameraman spotted Vegeta, Nappa, and Orochimaru. Whoa, those are the Saiyans. The Saiyans, said the reporter. Nappa looked at the helicopters and chuckled, noisy mosquitoes. He pointed at one of helicopter with his index and middle finger, then released the blast toward the helicopter and caused the helicopter to explode, which shocked Piccolo and others. Other helicopters survived and retreated. Okay, Saibamen, don't hold back. Crush him, demanded Nappa. Saibamen looked over his shoulder at Nappa and nodded. Came House Bulma, and others watched Yajirobe on the television. Mutant Roshi-sama, are you sure that Goku and Naruto have been returned to life? Asked the voice. Bulma, and others looked behind them, and it was Gyumao's voice who stood next to Chi-Chi behind the front door. Gyumao, shocked Roshi. He took a step forward, and sighed, they should be heading to where Sasuke, Sakura and the others are, right now. Well then, disappointed Gyumao. Chi-Chi asked, where is my Gohan? She noticed that everyone frowned.